I'm in my own Otomi game. That's a crazy statement. That's an insane statement to make. I don't like that.
It's true.
I don't like
She loves it.
We'll start with the top left with Aitoma. So we have is the next biggest up and coming drama farmer in the space who I am too afraid to roast, otherwise I'll end up on one of his thumbnails in about 6 hours time. We have Aitoma. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Tell us a bit about yourself.
My name Aithoma. I gained 1,000 subs in the last week, which has never happened in my fucking life. So I think that's an achievement.
W.
And that's it. That's it.
That's it. That's what you got. 1,000 subs in
He's
1 week.
also very humble.
20 seconds. Come on.
My favorite gacha game is Genshin Impact for a lot of reasons that I'll get into.
Yippee! We love Genshin. Let's fucking go, Genshin.
So brave.
So
real.
Yep.
Next, we have the man that has the body and a voice of a Greek god, but the literacy skill of a toddler. It's Amethyst Abrams.
I hate you. Okay.
That's my man, bro. That's crazy.
I get banned for an hour.
Cap, you forgot. He's a fucking Hufflepuff. Don't say that.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm really sorry.
I get banned for an hour yesterday, and now I get bullied. Right. Okay.
It has to happen, dude. It has to happen. So tell me a bit about yourself, Amethyst, and what's your favorite gacha?
Hey guys, I'm Amethyst Abrams, and my main gacha game is Wuthering Waves. I am amongst one of the 4 horsemen of the Wuthering Wave Shields, and soon to hopefully be Black Beacon in the new year. I've been creating content since January streaming, but YouTube since sort of April time, and I didn't think I'd get this amount of growth, but I'm very grateful that I have, and I've met some amazing people along the way, such as these bunch of dickheads on screen right now. So
that's so nice. That's so lovely. Yeah. Thank you so much. We all appreciate that.
Love you too. Love you too.
That's my king. That's my king.
Thank you.
Amazing. Next we have the man with so little thoughts he has to have it in his username to prove that he has any. It's Connor's Thoughts.
Woo!
How are you, Connor?
Yeah. Good. I'm being dragged out of my break for this.
Yes.
Connor's thoughts on YouTube. On a bit of a break right now, but we'll be back soon enough. And then my favorite gacha game probably is Nikkei, unironically. Let's go.
Yeah.
Interesting. Nikkei. Good pick. Good pick.
Wait, can I just ask why? I'm just curious,
Oh, we all know why.
I mean, the personality is amazing. The personality, they've got massive personalities.
The story is very good, I hear.
The story is
really good. The
story, massive story.
Unironically, the story is way better than you would expect. It's still not like, it's not like, super in depth, but like, it's way better than most other gacha games. I'll give it that for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Better than Hawkeye Star.
Also, the asses.
The asses are peak. That is true.
Yeah,
that is the story.
Amazing. Next, we have the man who twerks more than on camera than an OnlyFans girl than a bathtub stream. It's Ethan.
We got to keep the sub going. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I ain't dropping it high, I'm not making money. I twerk. I'm really bad at twerking. I make really bad content. And
prove it.
Yeah.
That's a great thing to say. Bad twerk and bad content.
I'm just a dude. My favorite game is wuwa because I like personality. So Rover's my favorite. Like I'm actually tied into Rover as well. I'm really in love. Yeah.
We're all in love with Rover.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, female Rover obviously, or are you talking about male here?
No, male Rover.
Male Rover? Okay, bet.
I made the mistake. I was supposed to pick the female, but I'm fucking stupid.
Goddamn.
That was a huge mistake.
That was an L. I should have retired there.
You say it's a mistake, but we know.
We know the truth. All right. Next, we have content creation can be hard, but the next guest has a superpower to turn a single tweet into an 8-minute video. It's Kazahana.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, I'm Kazahana, and I think it's going to be a boy. But seriously though,
what?
I make a lot of Wuthering Waves content and stuff like that. I also do some other gacha game stuff on other channels, and I play a crap load of gacha games in the first place. My favorite one, obviously, is Wuthering Waves because I got paid to say that. But yeah, pretty much that's my favorite gacha game. And my favorite gacha game creator is Steam Bunx because he's absolutely amazing.
True.
Very great party. I think he's great. He does great guide. Do you know what I mean? Like great content
Mr. The
creator.
Buns, yes.
Yeah, Mr. Buns. You know, it's
Yeah,
very
100%.
good. Very good. Amazing. Next, the next guest. I've had to personally hire private security for the explicit purpose of this episode, as he is surrounded by a bunch of Kuro shills. For that reason, he's under witness protection, and he is called not Rednu for the rest of the stream. It is Rednu. How are you, dude?
Yo, what is up, everyone? My name is Rednu. YouTube.com/Rednu, Twitch.tv Rednu23. I hate Wuthering Waves and I love Zenless Zone Zero. What's up?
Yeah, I was about to say, like, we all love wuwa, but then I forgot Red really doesn't like wuwa. So this is the perfect balance. This is it.
This is what I mean. We have
This
to
is it.
have like opposing views.
That's all. That's all you have to know. That's all you have to know.
Legit.
Number one Kuro enemy.
But now we got you in this corner, you know.
I'll be real. I posted this announcement, and I had 3 people going, "Why the fuck is Rednu here?" So you know, it's great.
I saw that.
Yes.
Wait, what? Really?
Yeah, 3 people. Like, why the fuck is Rednu here on this list? So you know what? That's why we've hired security, especially for you, my man. You know, it's just.
Hell yeah.
Amazing.
I feel special.
Absolutely. Next, we have the man in Japan. I don't know if you know this, but he lives in Japan. Has he told you that yet? It's the renowned Honkai Star Rail hater, Ryuku Sensei. How are you, buddy?
What do you mean? Honkai Star is my favorite game. Look, that's why I've got it as my background. What's wrong? Why are you saying that? Why would anyone say that? I have no idea what you're talking about. What? No. So, yeah, of course, I just said Ryuku Sensei, and yeah, my favorite game of all time is Honkai Star Rail, clearly. All joking aside, my current favorite game is Wuthering Waves, although I play like 7 different gacha games, maybe 6. But known gacha addict, and yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Amazing. Your video, we'll get into some of your video today. Oh my god, I'm sure a lot of people have already seen it, so we know you have some spicy takes about Honkai Star Rail.
First part of it.
Yeah,
I've got a lot more as well. That's the thing.
I've got almost full arena.
You had more?
That was the condensed version. That was the condensed version.
Right, chat. I just want to make it very clear. All of us here, most of us, have heard Ryuku Sensei rant about Honkai Star Rail for about 3 months straight at this point. So, like, you know, I'm glad it's all coming out now. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
thank
no! It's just a new opinion. I'm getting paid off by Tencent. I've got it in my bank account right now. Oh yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, amazing. And finally,
I'm paying for all this.
Finally, the next guest has been accused of using rampant child labor in order to magically pump out consistently daily high-quality content. It's Totus. How are you, buddy?
Well. I'm not exactly sure what to say about those accusations, but I can confirm.
You make so much crazy. You make so much content,
I have no children
bro.
working on my videos.
Are you sure? How do you make so many videos, bro? It's nuts. They're all so good.
I write, I work, I record, I do it all very quickly. And yeah, I guess with that introduction, hey everybody, name's Saint. I try to make cool videos, but I guess it's turned into something else at this point. My favorite games to play is obviously, I think, Wuthering Waves. I think I'm like the polar opposite of Rednu, so I think that might be the reason.
I think we all are.
We're literally opposite of each other on Discord too. It's so funny. It's very funny.
Yeah. I've recently quit a lot of gacha games, and happy to talk about some of the reasons why today.
Ooh, interesting. We'll get into some spicy content. You know, I'm pretty sure we'll have some spicy opinions. A lot of us have some very spicy opinions about these games. But I figured we'll break this in very easily. We've had like a lot of drip marketing for a lot of gachas the past couple. I wouldn't say drip. It's more like a flood. It's a flood of drip marketing for everything. I just want to say, you know, right out the bat, we'll start off with wuwa. You know what I mean? I think it came out first, and they did something kind of, you know, another gacha hasn't really done before. They kind of showed all the characters. I feel like they showed everything in one go. They didn't hold back. They really said, "Fuck the leakers. We're just gonna post what we want." And I just want to get your opinion on what you think of that marketing tactic. Do you think this was a good idea that they just everything in one night just released everything? Does anyone want to start with that?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, yeah, no, it wasn't a very good idea.
No,
I think that, like, I think that a lot of the marketing that they did was good in like one big like waterfall, as we probably call it. It's not a drip market; it's a waterfall market, and it was also really cool. And it was also really hyped for the day that it was. But now we got to kind of live with the fact that there might be like 4 weeks, 5 weeks, where there's just like nothing. Like there's just like they've got a Camellia chibi out at the moment. So I think that's something they do need to improve on. Is like because it's fine if they do add a ton of that content and like a ton of that advertising in one go, but it's also nice during the dry patches to add like a little bit of like just something, maybe a short or something like that.
Something like in between. Because
I really agree as well. Sorry, I was really agree. I was just talking about this the other day. Like from a player perspective and maybe a content creator's perspective as well, it's really good. Like we obviously we want as much information as possible, but like from a financial perspective, like from the perspective of Kuro Games to get the most bang for the buck out of their marketing, they're doing like say like what I refer to as like the Netflix model, where they just drop everything, boom, and then people have to binge through it, and they have that massive, like the big flash, that big bang of marketing, which of course we all enjoy. Everyone enjoys. No one likes waiting for all this stuff, but from a business perspective, they really missed out on a lot of like several, not even maybe a few weeks of free marketing. Because if they had dropped like one character a day instead of one character an hour, that would have been like several days of all of us content creators making videos. They just drop this character, and we make all these videos talking about this. That's a video out there, another character, another batch of videos. So they missed out on a lot of free marketing. I feel like so from a business perspective, I think they messed up. But from a player's perspective, I don't care. I'm glad because I want to know everything.
I think that was
you mentioned as well, like. They could have been doing it to get in front of leakers, but I'm not really too sure. They could have. It doesn't really matter. They could have just done it one per day. But you said that no other gacha game has done this, and at the time they didn't. But then literally like that very evening, my time, because I live in Japan. Did you know I live in Japan? Honkai Star Rail did the exact same thing, where they just like dropped this new area with like several characters all at once. So. It was really weird timing how they both did the exact same thing at the exact same time. So maybe they're trying to really like out punch each other in this. It's really interesting to see how they're maneuvering. Because people
did WoW do it first?
WoW did it first.
They did. It was Wuthering Waves by a few hours.
Yeah. Was like, oh shit. Okay, we need to do it as well. Do you think Hoyoverse looked at that and went,
nah? No, I don't think so.
They knew that they're going to release something around that time.
Okay. That whole video that they put together, like for that launch, there's no shot it was reactionary to Wuthering Waves. I feel like it's because there's been a lot of fan outcry from people who've been wanting and asking for like roadmaps from companies, right? Who like, we want to know what's coming down the line. And I think it's funny that everybody's kind of taking like a negative approach to this, where it's like maybe financially, partially, but I feel like player bases have been complaining for like months, if not like years now, of like, oh, give us a roadmap. We want to know what's coming. We want to be excited for it. And then now we got one from 2 games that are like both fairly liked, and so far everybody's just been like, yeah, no, I don't think it was great. I feel like that's like that's a content creator take to me right now. That's a content creator take.
I actually think it was a positive. I agree with you 100%. I think actually correct me if I'm wrong, I believe they would start drip marketing characters before the new one comes out. And I like that they waited a little bit for Camilla to kind of settle in. So I think they actually probably did pretty well off the sales, like from a business perspective. And I think, like you said, it's good to get ahead of leakers, but I also don't think this is everyone. Like if we're to assume that the patch is probably going to like 0.6, 0.7, like I'm sure there'll be like 4 stars sprinkled in and maybe another 5-star here and there, because we don't know the rarity. Like some of the tasking marks are missing. So I actually really, really like that they did this. And call me copium. I'm hoping that over the next 4 or 5 weeks, they'll start doing more marketing, not just drip, and actually start pumping out teasers for 2.0 and whatnot. So I think it builds hype for the next 5 weeks, because realistically, there's not going to be much to do, right? Other than be excited.
It's a long patch. This is a really long patch.
Is it, or is it the same?
It's pretty long. It's longer.
Yeah.
Isn't it? I'm pretty sure.
Well, we got to factor in that the only reason why this patch is longer is because having it any shorter would mean that the patch releases on Christmas, or like literally the days surrounding Christmas. So I think this is just quite literally getting through the new year and past the holiday season before launching the patch.
That's valid.
But I don't think it's a negative. I think for a content creator, it was annoying where I put 2 videos out and then an hour later, 3 more people could be. I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm going back to bed. Like that part, I thought was annoying.
That was so annoying.
If they don't capitalize, because I've personally have not really been a fan of their marketing until Shorekeeper, if they don't capitalize, start putting out more teasers, then I think this is a fat L. But I truly have faith, because I'm a Hoyo. Wait, what?
Oh,
I slipped up.
What?
Okoro show. Nah.
Oh man, dude, you gotta stick. You
Oh,
gotta
no.
stick
Oh,
with this
Cut.
He's a
Guys, Hoyo paid me to be here. No, but yeah, I do think it's a positive though, truthfully. Personally,
No, I have a question. Like, what is the contention, or what is like, what are people saying against this type of marketing? Because I think this marketing just makes a lot of sense, right?
I think they thought it was too much at once.
They won't have enough to say later.
Yeah.
Really
not necessarily drip marketing, more like
once, and it's so much before the update actually is gonna happen. So there's like a lot of dead space now, quote unquote. But like Ethan said, if they like bring out more teasers in between, it should be fine.
Yeah, I think it should be good.
I think one thing that we need to factor in when we think about these release details is that I think first and foremost, this was all released. All of this drip marketing was released on the 6-month anniversary of the game. Yesterday, right? November 22nd. And so thinking about it from that perspective, right? I think it was like that reward to the player base. There was like a dev tweet, right, when they were talking about cracking down on leakers, I think in late October, like the really long paragraph, right? And they wrote that Rinascita was a co-creation between the developers and the player base. And I think them dropping so much of that news on the 22nd, the 6-month anniversary, is them kind of following through on that, right? These are all the changes that we made. Here are all the new character designs. We've heard your critiques about, gooner bait allegations, all that stuff. Here are some very, like conservatively dressed characters. Here's a woman in a pantsuit, all that good stuff, right? And another thing, right, is in that teaser, we see so much unexplained stuff as well. Like once they're actually in the city, you saw like the little manta ray TDs that are flying above that obviously aren't aggressive, or they'd be like, dropping shit bombs on all the residents, that sort of thing. So it's like there's so much extra content on the Echo side. Like we saw the Echoes in clothes, walking around and stuff, talking to people. There's so much content that they can drip and, tease on that moving forward in the next couple of weeks. I don't think we're gonna run short on like hype as it's getting built up. I think this is quite literally just the start.
I agree.
Nice. And then to piggyback off of that, I think one of the big reasons to answer Redney why people are actually mad, at least from my comment section, because I got a bunch of this, or even in my Discord, is that people don't like that it looks happy, quote unquote happy. Like they think it's like a cutscene of Fontaine. And so I think
I've seen that.
Yeah, and now granted, I love the way it looks. I don't think it's too oversaturated like Neverness to Everness. I still think it has like that dark gritty vibe to it. But that has been like the biggest complaint that I've seen. Yeah. Is like, oh, is this Fontaine?
But that's something we can definitely get into. That is a question that we have coming up, actually, to be honest. So we'll save that talk about for a minute. I want to talk to Amethyst and Atoma. What do you guys think about the marketing so far, real quick?
I would have said what Ethan had said. I would have said the exact same thing.
All right.
There goes my camera.
Oh no! He's done. Bye. The Hoyo shield's got him.
No one's allowed to agree with Ethan.
P-chatter. Nobody agrees with me.
It's perfectly timed every single time it turns off. I say something egregious, it turns off every single time on stream, on video,
shut up,
all the time.
Shut up.
Your opinion is trash.
Get off it.
Your opinion is trash.
It has sentience, bro.
Sure.
Toma, they want you to turn up your mic volume.
Sorry, I got it. I've got it. I'm doing it.
No, actually, I think it's Cap.
I'm doing it.
It's Cap.
Oh, she put him low.
I'm having to fuck with all the volumes.
EBL.
It's such a Hufflepuff thing.
His camera to self-destruct.
It's such a Hufflepuff thing for Amethyst to be eating ice cream through this entire thing. Why are you eating ice cream now?
He's eating a whole tub of Ben & Jerry's for himself, bro.
What flavor you got?
Your flavor.
What a Hufflepuff thing. What a Hufflepuff thing.
Cookie dough. That is the most like 13-year-old flavor you could have said. I'm just going to put that out there. Like,
no, that's the most Hufflepuff flavor you can say.
Cookie dough.
Cookie dough's so boring.
Cookie dough.
Cookie dough's so boring.
Sponsored by Ben & Jerry.
No, I wish.
Some vanilla.
Can you imagine? No, I think the drip marketing was a good thing, though. Obviously what some of the others were saying if they, like what Ryuki was saying, if they dropped it day after day, obviously it probably would have capitalized on a lot more of like what the content creators can do, and it probably would have built up a little bit more slow hype over time. But I think obviously what Sintonta said about the 6-month anniversary sort of thing, again, that's a good point, because it's obviously we know from their track record they listen to a lot of what the player base wants and what the critiques are based on the past patches. So I do believe this is them sort of going, look, you want more male characters? Look, we got bloody Captain Jack's little cousin. You want you want like more dressed up, less revealing women characters? We got that for you with like Zani and these other characters. So, and also with the point of it looking too much Fontaine-like, too bright and vibrant. I think the grading's pretty okay. I don't think it's anywhere near as vibrant as what Genshin's color grading is. I think it looks okay. I mean, well, someone said it's Italian, right? It's based on Italy or something like that.
I think so.
Yeah,
at least it looks like it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I could tell that. And obviously, if you look at like Italy, and if you look at some of the really nice, vibrant pictures of Italy, it's very close to what Rinascita and what the city in Rinascita looks like. And I like the whole festival vibe that they're going for as well. And I think it has a lot of potential. So I think people just instantly jump in the gun going, it's copied Fontaine, looks too much like Fontaine. It's like, well, hang on a minute, guys. We've literally just seen the plaza. We haven't seen the entire thing.
It's a European city surrounded by water, and that's why.
Exactly.
European city surrounded by it's Fontaine. I saw a really good thing. It's Fontaine is like up there for comparison, but also like Final Fantasy. It kind of gives major Final Fantasy vibes to me.
I agree, actually.
That's what I agree.
Yeah,
it does.
Which is a big thing. So I guess
I've seen other people bringing up Kingdom Hearts. I think there's like a couple like comparisons.
I've seen that as well. Yeah.
Well,
yeah, absolutely.
No, I really like the recent drip marketing for Wuthering Waves actually, because I feel like not so much that it's like listening to the player base, but more that it is a new sort of venture that they're going on. It is their chapter 2. It is their new region, and also it's for the PS5 launch. Right.
Oh yeah.
That's a massive thing too. Like I think it's just overall going to be a net positive. Like holding that, although players were frustrated, like announcing PS5 with 2.0, I think it's just going to bring an influx of people to the point where even if like let's say the content isn't as good as we're hoping, I think that there will still be a massive W because now you open a whole new audience there.
Yeah, I'm sure it's very calculated. I'm sure they have other things to like follow up with it but I think like what Wuthering Waves kind of needed at this point was, okay, we're going to open up a new chapter, we're going to open up a new region, and we're going to try and bring in a bunch of people with the launch of the PS5, because I think Wuthering Waves, and this is something similar that Zenless Zone Zero goes through, definitely is trying to appeal more to a Japanese market, and PlayStation 5 console gaming is huge on that.
Yeah. Kaz, what do you think?
I want to see more animated stuff. I want to see more animated trailers. I'm not talking like an anime. No, I'm going. I want to see a full trailer, full short. You know, like Black Swan and Acheron. I want to see. I want to see Chang Li and whatever that new.
I want to see more Chang Li's fucking webs, bro.
Dancing. I want to see them both dancing. I want to see it animated. I want to see it
the straightest man in the world,
minutes.
5 minutes of boob bounces. Speaking of characters, before we get into like the city itself, can you guys just quickly give me what character that's been drip marketed so far are you most looking forward to? Quick fire, go, Aithoma, go.
Zani, bro.
Zani, okay, Amethyst, go.
Zani and Brant.
Zani, bro, you guys said it was mid yesterday. You literally guys were saying Brant was mid.
We were just trying to piss you off. We were just trying to make you crash
Oh, he's sick.
It was more than a coincidence that 5 of us all came in saying the same thing.
Yeah, that was so crazy.
Yeah, Brant is the worst. Brant is the worst. I hate men, obviously. I hate men.
Yeah, get these men out on gacha games, you know what I mean? I fully agree. Connor, who do you want?
Obviously Zani. I was a sucker for Kafka, and I'm a sucker for Zani.
Yeah, Zani. Ethan, how about you?
No, Zani and Brant. Yeah,
Zani and Brant.
Those two got it on lock. It is what it is, you know?
Kazana.
Yeah, Zani as well. I do like Zani.
Yeah, Zani.
Like, Carlota, whatever her name is.
Carlota's pretty cool. I think she might be the gun girl. That I hope it's a gun. Please don't be a gunblade. Please be a gun.
I want to be a gunblade. As a Final Fantasy 8 enjoyer, I want it to be a gunblade.
No, I don't. I need a gun character, please.
Okay.
I want a gunblade.
When you look at the fucking teasers with the weapons and shit,
yeah,
it has a trigger. Like it is a gun.
Yeah,
it is a musket.
100%.
Yeah,
I think as well. Compared to Zani, I think she's less Kuma and just more cool, you know?
Yeah.
That's why I kind of like her. It's
less
like
is more.
Different kind of character.
Less is more kind of thing. Red New.
I feel like it's easier to say which character I don't like. I actually like a lot of the characters that they have. Yeah, the character that I don't really like too much, my least favorite, is Rokia or Rokia.
Oh yeah.
I don't mind
She's like a VTuber, bro. She looks like a VTuber.
It looks like
it's alright.
It
looks too much. It looks a little too over-designed for me. I like pretty much everyone else, but my favorite is actually different from everyone else's. I do like Zani a lot, but I like Phoebe.
Okay.
I don't get
No.
I think Phoebe's really cute.
Fair enough.
Phoebe cute.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Ryuku.
Of course, I'm going to say Zani, but I've got to give a good shout out to Carlotto as well. Because, like, no, seriously, because my favorite characters, say, going from Honkai Star, let's say Kafka, same in Genshin, like Cappuccino, whatever.
Cappuccino.
No, like things, I completely agree. Most of my favorite characters are the ones that don't have a majority of exposure. Like, I like characters that just look cool. I don't need them to like have the tits in my face all the time. No, I don't need the skin exposure at all. I just want them to look cool. I want them to look strong. I want them to look badass. Yeah, shut up. I just need cool characters. I don't care if
it sounds like you're describing
Zani
Yarn.
is cool.
Oh my god, no, stop. Don't mention his name.
Zani is definitely cool.
Don't mention his name.
Yarn.
Yeah. No, Jan's a badass.
Oh my god.
Are you saying Gion?
Yeah, he's awesome, right?
Would you say he's more attractive than most of the male characters?
I would love a character like Jan, like as a main playable character. I want.
I'd agree. Listen, Jan, I would have.
Love that.
But like his face is shit. I'm sorry, he's been hit by a truck. I'm sorry. I don't care what you guys think. Great body, shit face. I'm sorry. You can all cope. I really don't care.
Okay, thanks for that, Cap. You're wrong.
Okay. Oh! I'm gonna mute this man. Bad Honkai takes. Bad takes. Huh?
Yo, Ryuku, your Zani take though is on point. Where like it's not overly revealing, but also you can have the boobs in the face. Like you get best of both worlds.
She's got a bit of a peak as well. You know, she's got a peekaboo. Look at this thing.
Can we decide? Is it Zani or Zani?
Zani.
It's Zani. I've checked the Japanese. It's definitely Zani.
Zani.
Okay.
I'm illiterate. I'm just going Zani.
I mean, but Wuthering Waves is Chinese anyway, right? So.
I know. To be fair, like the Japanese name for Rokia, whatever, is Lokoko. Lokoko.
Oh damn! Hello, Lokoko.
It is.
Right,
I mean, like.
Yeah. Say Todos, who's your favorite?
My favorite?
Yep.
I think I got to give it up to Carlotta and Brandt. And I think most of it is because I'm very interested in seeing what their animations and combat style is going to be. You clearly see that Brandt has both like a gun and a sword.
Yep.
So based off of that, I'm just like, what the hell is this guy going to do? He better have some really cool looking shit.
I want him to be so
and then Carlotta's, you know, we need like we need a gun character where you're actually using the heavy attacks. And if she has like a rifle, right? I'm assuming that her heavy attacks are actually like not going to actively grief you in combat.
Yep.
Like every other character in the game currently, right? So really just excited to see where, you know, those mechanics are going to be fleshed out a bit more. And, you know, they do look pretty cool.
Absolutely. Right. So a lot of you guys have said like Zani was your favorite, which is very understandable, very much giving Kafka. It's like Kafka mixed with Arlecchino in a way, all mixed together, which is really cool. Everyone likes her. People have pointed out that she lacks a tacit mark, at least on her like splash art so far. And people are wondering if it's going to be indicative of anything that might be related to her. Is she even a resonator to begin with? People have been speculating. Do you think we're going to get any like switch ups for like element types or anything like that in 2.0?
Maybe it's on her ankle.
I've heard that there's some things in Wuthering Waves where they're referring to physical damage, and we don't have a physical damage deal. So she could be a character in the world where she obviously has some kind of mutation because she has horns. They're not. That's not ribbons. It's not. She has horns. So she's definitely has some kind of mutation. Maybe she's affected in a way that she. I don't know, maybe she's affected in such a way that where she doesn't have a task mark, so she's not like resonant with any particular elements such as Spectra or Havoc or whatever, but she could be in such a way where her strength has been incredibly increased and all she can do is physical damage. And so she could be the first physical damage dealer we have in the game. So I'm thinking that might be a bit of a hint to that, but of course we don't know. It's just there are some references to physical damage in the game already, but we don't have one, so that could be it.
I think Wuthering Waves... Sorry.
Oh, no. I think that's going to be cool. Oh, my bad. You go, Ithoma.
No, you go.
No, I think that's going to be cool, but I'm not going to lie to you. I low-key think it's just probably behind her neck. Like, I'm going to keep it a stack. Like, I would not be surprised if it's literally just like... But you know how, like, sometimes see people get, like, their tattoo, like, right here of their name? Like, it's going to be this... Like, I'm personally not going to have the tinfoil hat on for it. But that physical thing sounds sick. So I'd prefer that, but I think we're probably just getting bamboozled. They want conversations like this to happen.
I think a lot of the Dripmarketing though.
Right?
Oh yeah.
The one thing I will say is that Carlotta also doesn't have a task mark in her splash art.
True.
Yeah.
She does not have one. So, but she's. I mean, if you look at the gun, it's obviously ice. Like it's
it's gotta be Glacio.
So she has one. She has a tassel mark, I think.
Yeah.
And what I've also seen is the Zani. People have been drawing her tassel mark on her tongue.
Oh.
I mean, it's not out of, look at Sunhur's. Hers on her eye, so
it could be.
Same thing for Rokia. Rokia's she got tassel marks in her eyes.
Yeah. All right, Kazahana, what are you gonna say, buddy?
I was just saying, I think the main reason why people are very confused about this is because obviously Wuthering Waves in the Dripmarketing usually do like to try and show off that tassel mark. So if it was anywhere on her neck, you know, you'd kind of expect her to be kind of doing like a, you know, backwards pose or something like that, like kind of looking behind her. Or if it's on her tongue, maybe she'd be sticking her tongue out or something like that. But in this one, they've obviously deliberately chosen not to do it. So maybe there is some kind of reason behind that. And even if there is a tacit mark there, like on her tongue or whatever, and that's like a little bit different, there's probably like maybe like a law or whatever kind of reason to it. That might be why it's hidden, or it just could be a physical character, which would be cool.
I think Wuthering Waves does a really good job of like, you never truly know a character's type or element until they kind of reveal it. Like it's not always outwardly obvious like what they are, and I think that's actually a really cool thing. It gives them a lot more freedom of design. I think a lot of other characters in gacha is kind of like, oh, that's gonna be like a pyro character, right? And wuwa, it doesn't really have that, and I think it gives them a lot more choice in how they do and how they present their characters, which is pretty dope. Okay, awesome. So we'll move on to Rinascita in general. We'll move on to more of a... Huh?
Okay, Red.
Could I say something really quick?
Sure.
And I kind of want to know like chat's opinion too about Zani, okay? Because I like Zani's design a lot. But I have a question. Would anyone prefer if Zani didn't have horns?
Oh, get the fuck out of
No, the horns are cool.
She doesn't need the horns.
No, the horns are cool. No,
Twitter
stop.
image cuts off the... No, dude.
Stop, you're wrong.
The horns are so bad.
No!
I don't look like ordinary horns either, bro.
Are you gonna say that in the presence?
Are so bad.
Now listen, are you gonna say that in the presence of Kazahana, who is wearing horns right now? Say that to his face. Say that to his face right now.
His horns is okay. I'm talking about like these big ass goat horns.
It's gone. It's gone.
I'm out.
You don't need the goat horns. What's her name? Zani, right? She's clearly inspired from like characters like Vanessa or like Bazette. They're all just like badass, like very strong women. I feel like the horns are just too much in my opinion. I don't know.
I'll say that. Sorry,
horns.
Even if she didn't have the horns, I would just be just as hyped for her. So would you say prefer? Yeah. I wouldn't say prefer. I don't care. Like they're not necessary. I don't prefer.
I think
like, having them there is also pretty badass.
Yeah.
Not necessary. Not necessary because if she's physical, that would also play further into like my theory that she might be the physical. Like she just trained stupidly hard to the point of being as strong as another resonator. So it could possibly be that as well. They're not necessary, but having them, it's not really something that's like, oh, those are really why? No,
I don't think it ruins it. No, let me be clear. I don't think it ruins it. I just don't. I think it's unnecessary. I think I'll probably share your take.
I think one thing we gotta remember about all of like these additional physical features, except pretty much everyone except Yinlin, because she has like the elf ears for like we don't know the reason for those yet. But
I don't need a reason.
Resonator, like unique physical features, like the scales on Mortifi. You got like Gian having scales as well. I mean, Jinsi has horns, right? It's all closely linked to like what they actually do in battle. Yeah. Right.
Okay.
And so I think the horns are there quite literally because there's something demonic about something she's doing in battle. Right? Like that's like a characteristic of her character.
They look like goat horns. Like I'm thinking of something more physical, like just goat horns and like ramming, like just like really just brute force. That's what I'm thinking. Physical.
That also connects to
Ryuku is saying that Ryuku is saying Zani is part Billy Goat, and Saint Contest is saying that she's part devil.
But it's like if you look at Encore, when Encore transforms in her ultimate, she gains those similar styled horns, right? And she goes like demon devil mode. So it's kind of like could Encore's power somehow originate from something similar to Zani or whatever how you pronounce the name.
That's a good
I'm just gonna say Zani.
Your pronunciations do this
because obviously she has a tail, she has horns. Encore when she transforms has those horns and goes demon mode. So it's like they could be the powers could be connected in a way come from a similar origin. We don't know.
And one thing we all got to think about is all the characters with scales. They have like dragon motifs in all their abilities.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
Like Mortefi is like entirely dragon. Jinxi's entirely dragon. Gion's entirely dragon. All three of them have scales.
I want
a snake. As a Slytherin, I want a snake. Like, I'm serious.
You would be
as a Hufflepuff. I want a badger.
I don't think it's as distracting as Scar's Dick Zipper, so I'm not gonna lie to you. I kind of don't mind it. I don't really mind it.
Yeah.
I don't think
your
it's
mind,
distracting.
Connor.
It's fine.
Speak your mind, Connor.
Oh yeah, wait, what were we saying? Connor?
No, I was just gonna derail like crazy, saying like, how the fuck did they not abolish the Slytherin house? Like, oh, we've got all these villains that come from the same fucking house in this school. Maybe we should get rid of it. But no, he's one of the founders. Dumbest shit I've ever.
All I'm gonna say. All I'm gonna say is Rinascita is gonna be crazy because you're gonna be going around with Zani, just headbutting everyone with your bathtub echo. Like it's gonna be the craziest, most like Disney shit that you've ever seen. Like,
a million percent. I was gonna say like
Fazbear and friends as well.
Oh my god, cease. No, listen, I am a demon hunter enjoyer from World of Warcraft, so I love the horns personally. Like I think it's great. So I don't know, it's up my street. All right, awesome.
Is Timer frozen for anyone else?
I think he is.
Yeah, I thought it was frozen. He's gone.
Why is this?
Turkey got him. Turkey got him.
Shut up. Wipe that grin off your face.
Oh, now he's just loading for me. Oh, that's so sad. That's so sad.
Bye-bye.
F.A. Toma. Anyway, oh no, he's back.
Oh, he's back.
It was Zani. It was the double powers.
Yeah.
Got his ass.
Bro, you need to fix. You need to leave. You need to leave your country, bro. I swear to God.
Starlink.
It's very true.
Elon Musk, save me.
Elon Musk, save me. All right, so now we'll progress. We've talked about the characters a little bit. Now let's talk about the actual environment itself and the story of Rinascita. 2.0, as we are all kind of aware, is the first time Kuro is able to write the story from the ground up without having to like change it very quickly before it comes out. We all know what happened with the 1.0 story. It got changed a couple of times, and maybe it resulted in a story that might not have been to everyone's expectations. Some people loved it, some people thought it was mid, some people thought it was bad. We'll get into that, but
I hope the rover. It was perfect.
I hope that 2.0 Kuro really is like they could write the story they intended to write from the beginning. Do you know what I mean? So what do you guys think about that? Are they going to change their writing style from 1.0 to 2.0? What are you expecting? What do you want them to improve on going forward in the 2.0 story to really make it a better package overall?
I would like a more darker tone story. Now, based on what I saw in Rinascita, it looks like it's going to be festival type, very, more.
It's a literal carnival. It's like the opposite.
Yeah, it's literal carnival.
It is the opposite.
Carnival. It's literally carnival, right? So I don't expect it to be darker. But obviously, I don't know what the entire original story of the original writing was. But something like the rover wasn't trusted by anyone, and he was like a dark, mysterious character, stuff like that. And then it's like people didn't like that, and they said, no, we want him to be more like your typical protagonist where everyone loves him, and so I would like a darker story. Not saying that the story at the moment hasn't had its dark tones and hasn't had its serious moments. I like the way the writing is, so if it stays the similar or the same, I won't mind. But if they do take a little bit more of a darker turn and commit to certain decisions, like if they do want to endanger certain characters or introduce NPCs that we do get attached to, similar to a Firefly situation, but allow this but like allow that character to be with us for multiple patches, and then for them to commit to something tragic later on. I wouldn't be opposed to something like that either. I would quite like a darker overarching
overall story.
Stories.
I think you could have a darker story without it physically being dark.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So
You can still have that, and like the post-apocalyptic vibes, but the lament can and the way that everything's affected can be negative in different ways for other areas. It could be like physical. We can see it in the way the characters are. There could be something afflicting the people itself that makes it different and dark. Like it doesn't have to be. Like I don't know. It doesn't have to be visual, but I feel to the point about they changed Rover. I think they've committed now on Rover. Rover is not going to be the bad guy to people. I think they changed it for a reason. They're not going to go back on that again for like a third time, right? So we already kind of know that's the path they're going for with Rover. So I don't personally think they'll change that, but I agree that they can still make it, darker without literally being dark. So yeah.
I think they can make it dark, but I cannot disagree more. I feel like my problem with Wuthering Waves is that it usually tries to take itself way too seriously. It usually tries to go into these sort of darker paths in storytelling, and I feel like it just doesn't really do a good job. It tries to sell itself as a very like compelling narrative, and I think that does it more as a disservice than like actually like help it. And I feel like Rinascita is I'm actually quite excited for Rinascita because it just seems like a lighter tone, a little more brighter. Maybe they could fit a little more humor, or they could just have a nicer, fresher story, I guess. Right? I think if it takes itself less seriously, it's going to be generally better.
Well, one of the problems of the medium with like gacha games is like they're character collectors. So, especially Wuthering Waves more so than others is very much like harem builder. And what happens when you've created that, you kind of shoehorn yourself in your story that you can never actually take it as far as you want to. So kind of like what you're saying, Red, like they'll set up these like dark tones, or like it's going to go in a certain direction where you think there's going to be something like catastrophic that takes place. But every single time it's always had a happy ending. Like nothing so far in Wuthering Waves have they ever followed through on something tragic taking place. Now, I actually would be more interested to see them actually like send it, like actually have the balls to like make a call like that, because then that would actually like re-engage me in that way. I'm okay if they take like a more like lighthearted tone, because kind of like everyone else is saying too, there are other ways to have like a dark story that's not physically just like I'm walking around in the ruins. Like that's way too on the nose. Like they're with the like kind of like Renaissance vibe, there's a little bit of like kind of like the French Revolution vibe mix in there too. Like there's a lot of like class-based things that took place there. Like Amethyst, you said the government. Like so there's other ways that they can twist this narrative to have it be more dramatic. But I do not have the copium to think that they're ever actually going to follow through on something dark as of right now, because I think, Cap, you're right. I think they've set the tone with the shift that they made, with the feedback that they took, that I would be shocked if they were to follow through on that in a way like they have with like PGR. With their other
I do want to ask you about that, because you are aware or still a PGR player and the story. So what do you take from the PGR story? Do you think they're going to implement any sort of shocks that they did there into Wuthering Waves, or do you think it's a very different approach that they're taking to story?
So I got to admit, I play on the global servers, which I know there's been like some really dramatic stuff that's happened on the CN side, like world shaking stuff that they've done recently, some time skips. They might have off-screened some characters, like some potentially crazy things that have happened. So I can't really speak to that. So far, it's been like similar, at least to the parts of the story that I've seen, where like a lot of it is like really dark, like character backstories, but then like they're like kind of okay now. The one area that they've really followed through with though in PGR is they've made villain characters playable, and they're still villains. Like there are characters that like after they become playable in the game, like go off to do some like horrific things and kill a bunch of people. Like, cool. And so they so they don't all of a sudden decide like this character's been redeemed and we're all happy now, guys. It's like, nope, still a villain, still trying to do some crazy shit, but you can use him now.
I think that's cool.
Can I?
Yeah, go for it.
Sorry, can I jump in? Sorry. I like the look of Rinascita. I think it really delivers on what it promised in the lore-wise, it being such the land of echoes and being the very carnival type thing. So I really appreciate how bright it is, but I think it's too early. I think it's way too early. From what we were promised of Wuthering Waves, like in all the trailers so far, we didn't see all this brighter stuff. So I have seen a lot of people say, and I definitely agree to some respects on this, like if I wanted to play Genshin, I'd play Genshin, because it's looking way too bright, and not as saturated as Genshin, but it's way too bright, and it's more fitting in that kind of tone. And people like, if I wanted to play that, I would have played that. I think they should have released Rinascita in 3.0. I think for me right now, we're having Huanglong, Jinzhou. That seems like a really good midpoint where we've got some of the more developed areas, which have Jinzhou area like proper, as well as some of the ports. But we have some beautiful areas, which is like with the giant tree, and some more apocalyptic areas, which is where Dreamless is. So that seems like the good midpoint to see both the reconstruction of civilization, but still has the remnants of destruction as well. I think with everything that we were promised in the lead up to Wuthering Waves, I think they should have gone darker first and go more heavy into that, and then they should have brought up the bright part with Rinascita. I think it's a bit too early, just in my personal opinion.
I agree.
Is that going to make me like not play the game? No, but that's just my personal opinion.
I think we're all kind of like going down the line of, we want, I guess in general, the consensus here seemed, to me at least, seems to be that people are looking for like a darker form of storytelling, or they believe that, the stuff that transpired, right, across version 1.0 wasn't dark enough. But I think one thing we really have to factor in, right, is I think there's a lot of recency bias. Because when Wuthering Waves launched in 1.0, everything is like messed up, right? Like the world is on the verge of doom, right? And a lot of 1.0 to me, like with the 1.x version, like everything that we've had up until now, that to me is like a recovery to all this destruction that's happened in the past. In 1.3, we literally get to re-experience the destruction, right, of the port city of Guizhou. And like there's like a whole sequence, right, where it's like stop the lament, right, and that's where Shorekeeper sacrifices herself. We have to factor in that Jinzhou as a whole has just been getting destroyed this entire time, right? And then we wanted more destruction and darkness to happen in the story as well, when that's basically all that's been happening up until the story started. To me, that would have just been like a little bit too much, in my opinion. And so my perspective is that we learned more about the past destructions in 1.3 and 1.4. We learned that Camellia's, right, her entire village destroyed, right? She almost turned into a task of discord, all that stuff, right? These are all terrifying and bad things that have happened in the past. And so a lot of the story to me is we're re-experiencing those through all those different timelines, and now we're moving forward, right, on the path to recovery. Because all the bad stuff is there. We experienced that. It happened in the story. And I think just the fact that it did...
Oh, shoot.
Regardless there.
I also
a lot of bad shit's been going on.
No, for sure. Like 100%. I think Act 6, when we did the war with Gion, like, I'm not gonna lie to you, for me, that actual scenery and the fights and everything, like, Loki felt like their version of hell. Like, that shit was peak. Like, we were literally fighting the war, and then you had to do, like, the grappling hooks and go to all these different places. I also think we're judging it a little too hard just off of this trailer, right? Because, I mean, realistically, someone even commented to me, it's like happy-go-lucky festival city with a few higher-up families smells like politics. So we don't know if maybe there's, like, a wall or something, the case may be, and outside that wall, it's just... like red, it's bleak, it's nasty, or maybe even if it looks happy-go-lucky, but the politics come into play. I think just straight up dark in the sense of like, hey, this is hell, can get repetitive, and if they flip it in a way, like I personally really love Fontaine, I think they have a chance here to take Fontaine and even make it better. Not rip it one-to-one, but there is definitely ways that they can go about making it dark without it just looking nasty. And again, we don't know how it looks. Like, fucking, we could walk 10 feet that way, and then it might just... the whole place will look like Attack on Titan or
it
something.
Could be like Piltover and Arcane.
Yeah,
guys.
Exactly.
Right? There could literally be an underground.
That way could arguably be also like more fucked up because it looks all happy, and then there's just some fucking dark twist.
And that's what I think they're going for. Exactly. I think that's why they specifically showed that, and so we could have a conversation like this, saying, "Hey, this looks whack," and like, "Oh, really? We'll watch this shit." And they're gonna hit you with a fucking uppercut, and like, "Nah, actually, some crazy shit's happening." So I think they did that
just
strategically.
spirals.
Exactly.
I do think
one last thing that I just wanted to mention in terms of Rinascita and its relationship with the Black Shores is that there are a couple of NPCs like in the Black Shores area that will say that they don't actually have a good relationship with Rinascita, right?
Oh wow.
And we can assume, right, to some degree that Rover might have had something to do with that because their memory loss isn't like, 8 decades ago, right? It happened sort of recently. And maybe they were one of the reasons why Rinascita doesn't have a good relationship with the Black Shores. So thinking about that as well, like there's a lot of like kind of like clues that they've hidden in these NPC conversations. I'm only getting, made aware of them, right? Just like looking at these random links. But the pieces are there. And there's a lot of potential here, right, for a darker form of storytelling. And when you're juxtaposing that darker form of storytelling, like maybe the whole politics stuff that's going on in the background, with a very happy and festive atmosphere, it's like that's kind of what happened in Penacony, right? Very happy, festive atmosphere, and then there's all this like crazy dark shit going on behind the scenes. Obviously, that.
Let's not mention
the story in Penacony is good.
For the love of God, don't. If they go to the Penacony, I swear to fucking God, dude. I swear to God.
The storytelling is bad, right? Yeah. And I think Wuthering Waves has the opportunity to have a similar form of like overarching story, but better storytelling. at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I think there's something that we isolated there though that I think is a big problem with Wuthering Waves storytelling though, is so much of the dark storytelling that people are like wanting from the game to have like a more serious tone is all in the past. We don't get to actually go through and experience these things with these characters.
It has less impact.
It's like, it's like their journeys have already happened and we're just kind of there at the end like, oh man, cool. Like Ethan pointed out that like the Story Quest 6, when we actually get to do the war, that is such a notable moment because we actually get to have and we are in it. We are experiencing that moment with the characters and participating. We're not just like, oh man, I wish you could yap more about your backstory.
I have
sad things that happen.
I have that exact problem with Camelia's story too, where we talk about her past in the Paddleful village. We get told it. We never see anything that happened to her village that would have made her story far, far more compelling and better. And it's something that we don't see. It's exactly the same thing.
One of the flashbacks that we see when we're playing 1.4 could have been us in the village.
Yep.
Sitting there. And I think that was a missed opportunity because they could have easily gone, oh, by the way, because we see her tied up, right? And that's obviously post her overclocking. Post her basically going,
He said the thing.
That's Rover obviously coming to obviously save her and go, look, I'm going to help you out here. I'm going to snap you out of it. Where we could have actually seen her go berserk in the village and tear the shit up.
Yep.
And us maybe have to fight and calm her down or something like that. But that was a missed opportunity, I think. So I do agree with what
I do
Cap's saying.
think though, with like Rinascita as well coming forwards, I think that obviously we're talking about a lot of the stuff that happened in the past and what they could have changed, but let's be real, the updates are gone now, they're not going to change them. So I think with Rinascita, it could be kind of an opportunity to get us like from the start, and we actually get to do a full kind of timeline. Obviously with the start of the game, we were kind of at the end of everything. We kind of witnessed the end. So maybe Rinascita would be that kind of opportunity to start from the start, see what happens, and then kind of do the full storyline rather than just be like, oh, hey guys, you're fighting a war? Okay, I'll help you guys.
It's
one important thing. One important thing I wanted to loop back to was what Cap said at the start about how a lot of version 1.0 was spent rewriting the story. I think there's a there's an intentional reason, reason why 1.3 and 1.4 were so focused on the past or dreams or the Somnoir. And to me, that's because they were taking that opportunity to kind of put the main story progression on halt while they worked on Rinascita, while they're fleshing out all the things that they want to happen in the present. And, us getting that exposure to the Black Shores, us getting, really big event in the Somnoir, and kind of getting, more of that potential through the dreams. To me, that's a lot of setup. For what they have moving forward without moving the main story. And I think it worked out from that perspective.
I think with the Rover as well, it was like kind of a moving forward point for them as well. Because with the kind of version 1.0, we were kind of like regaining our memories kind of thing. We're going back towards the Shorekeeper and stuff like that. Building with the Rover, and now that we've kind of, because obviously if they did go straight into Rinascita at 1.0, then you're going to be like, oh, there's all this stuff going on with Rinascita, but also you've got your memories and it's all going to be kind of jumbled, whereas they've kind of taken a more kind of like scheduled approach to it. So you get everything back, and then you're like, okay, time to focus on something that's not just about the Rover remembering everything, and maybe we can actually have like a story that's not about what the past couple of versions have been.
I want to disagree because it's like, from what I've heard so far, people like, they wanted a story that starts from Rover, and they didn't. Well, maybe I'm misunderstanding this, and they didn't like how things were already playing out, and Rover just comes in the middle of it. I actually liked that because it made made the world feel like it was already alive, and we are just a part of this world. It didn't feel like everything was revolving around Rover. It didn't. I hate that kind of story thing where nothing happens unless Rover does it, like or the main in any game, in any IP. I don't like where nothing happens unless it's due to the main character. I mean, the main character is a main character for a reason, but things are happening. The world is alive apart from the main character, and I appreciated that the world was still moving around and things didn't end because of Rover. I mean, Rover is just dropped in at this part and this particular thing is happening, and I like that as well. If we're going to Rinascita and we have all these politics thing, I don't want the politics to start because of Rover. I want the politics to already be in the midst of this massive strife. Maybe there's some warring factions, some warring families or something. The disagreement between Rinascita and the Black Shores. I want that to already be there. I want it to be active. I don't want things to start with Rover. I want Rover to be, and I want Rover to be the end of whatever. I want Rover to come in the middle and sort this shit out. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Saying that.
I don't think I was saying that the Rover, it was like kind of revolving around the Rover. I was just kind of talking about the Rover's mental state as, you know, it is the main character, you're playing as them. And I think Rinascita is where Rover's in a bit more of a more mentally stable kind of position to deal with this stuff.
No,
I don't think that, you know,
I don't know.
obviously, I think they have like improved over time. They've regained like a
Compared
lot of
to
stuff.
1.0,
They've met a lot of people.
I would
compared to 1.0, yeah.
Yeah, no, they've definitely, obviously, no, they're not perfect, and obviously going around the regions and stuff, they're going to find out even more. But I don't think it's going to be as heavily kind of, you know, talked about. I think it's going to be more about Rinascita, more about what's going on with them, and then, you know, obviously Rover's going to kind of like implement themselves, however.
Yeah, really quick. I think what Kazo was trying to say was that the story is not going to revolve around like the past lore of Rover, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to revolve around the past of Rover and everything kind of like coming to a head at that point. I think it is what he's saying is like, oh, it's an opportunity for a fresher story where Rover can kind of come in and have an impact, and it's not really influenced by their past or their legacy.
So much of 1.0 like story was centered around Rover. Like I know you're saying you don't want the story to be centered around Rover, but like Rover secretly started the Black Shores. He created the Sentinel. Like all of 1.0 is basically the big twist is actually it is all about you. So like I'm good.
I never liked it.
I never
liked it. It was just like
I think also at the same time though, one thing that they said in the trailer is that one of the things that we're going to do as Rover in Rinascita is figure out that there's something wrong with Abby. Something is wrong with Abby. We figure out something that's going on with Abby. Now, there's a lot of theories around Abby and what Abby is and who Abby is and why she's the way, or they the way they are. And I think
Red. No, Red said delete Abby. I'm big agree on that. I ain't gonna lie to you. That one.
Outrageous.
Y'all are tripping.
But yeah, and to be fair, I like Abby. I think a certain element to the game where if you look at other mascots of other games, like Paimon actually just gives me brain rot, and I hate Paimon with a passion.
No, she's awesome, bro.
Abby is not a mascot. Abby is a ticking plot bomb. That's it. Abby is a ticking plot bomb. Every time Abby is supposed to be in the story, he's taking a nap, right? He's just a ticking plot bomb. Like, eventually there's going to be a big reveal with Abby, but it's just, I feel like it's like, I don't know. I've
done like a lot of like lore stuff with other CCs like Ufi about who Abby is and what Abby could be. But I think obviously we're trying to figure out what's going on with Abby because something's wrong with Abby. That's the reason why she can't sustain enough energy. Can't sustain herself. That's why she keeps having to eat all this energy all the time. And I think the Kiddin, which is the Sentinel of Rinascita, the next Sentinel, I think every region we go to, we're going to learn more about Abby and more about the Rover through the Sentinel. So the story of Rinascita, whether it be the corrupted government or whatever, will be Rinascita's story. And then the Rover's part of the story will come when the Sentinel's introduced. Because I believe every Sentinel has something to do with Rover and Rover's past.
It's going to be a bit like the typical Genshin shit where it's just
we're
gonna like do stuff in this region, and then at the end I'm gonna be like, hey, do you know anything about my sister? Okay, no, okay, that's fine.
And at the end they always give up the notice at the end. I mean, that's just how it goes.
It's never like
and nobody helps you either. Nobody helps you.
I think the difference is between obviously with Genshin is like, do you know my sister? And they go straight up no, or they go yes, it is your sister, and then they go, oh, by the way, we found your sister, but we'll just reset your memory, so you're still looking for your sister. Where if you look at 1.1, we didn't find out much about Rover. Jue still gave us something, you know. It might have been something little, but it was something. And I think
really like to see a record of is how actually long the 1.0 main story of Wuthering Waves is. Like every main story quest from, version 1.0 to 1.4, because at the end of the day, right, I don't think it's actually that long, right? The dialogue isn't like super intense in pretty much any section of the game. No. You can kind of just get through it, and I think less than 15 hours.
Probably it's not bloated. It's not bloated like a lot of the other games.
And I think just from that perspective, right? If we think about 15 hours of main story in relation to not even gacha games, but just games as a whole, 15 hours is not a long amount of time.
No. We've got a lot to get through. We've got a lot to do.
Like any game, even AAA titles like Story, God of War, all that stuff.
Okay, I'm looking through here from Rubhen. Very good here. I'm looking at all the timelines it takes for all cutscenes, full movie version 1.0 story 2024. This one says 6 hours 53 minutes.
I think that might be cutscenes though, because like there's a lot of things that you do in between the cutscenes.
All cutscenes,
yeah. So
that's
I think
cutscenes.
Probably more than
without
that.
like the fucking traveling, walking all
or like the combat. I mean, even 6 hours though isn't too horrible.
No,
like I feel like it's not a horrible length.
Yeah,
I don't want Penacony.
I think in total it's about 6 or 7 hours for the entirety of 1.0. Sorry.
I'm gonna say something right now that maybe I don't know if anyone's gonna agree or disagree. I personally am not, and this is just me being maybe negative, but Penacony has genuinely ruined gacha game stories for me ever since then.
Yes.
That I know this might shift the conversation, but I'm not that hyped for wuwa 2.0. I'm gonna give them a benefit of a doubt, but I'm more hyped for the game. The story, I'm kind of like, I'm just gonna take it and whatever it has. I'm gonna have no expectations, and that's it. Because I cannot stand gacha stories anymore because of Penacony.
Yeah.
As you said previously, my bad. Not a like nothing happens. It's always
we'll get to Penacony. We'll talk about Honkai Star Rail. Yeah, we'll. I kind
of. I do want to add.
We're gonna talk about Honkai Star Rail?
Almost all story in wuwa.
Oh, okay. You can't have an opinion now on story.
I'm sorry, Sega.
I skipped almost.
You let me in here. What
I'm also looking at I believe it. I believe it, and I believe a lot of wuwa players also take pride in that. So yeah.
I'm also looking at the other patches as well.
And 1.3.
1.1.
The rest I've skipped.
1.1 is 3 hours. 1.2 is about 4 hours max.
It's not that long. I think we get the point. It's not as outrageous as like other gacha games. I do want to kind of bring back a talking point that we were having, especially from Yuriku. We were talking about Rover. Oh, RIP.
I'm still here.
We've got just talking about Rover real quick and how they're implemented into the story, and how we were saying that the whole world revolves around Rover. And I think that's one of the things I dislike about Wuthering Waves is that it is true that nothing really happens really unless Rover's there, but also the characters themselves in the game never interact with each other really. It never feels like it does. Apart from like Changli and Jinchi, I never feel like the characters know each other either, or like Chisha and Yang Yang. But it's like, you know, like the Black Shores was a really big thing for me about that, with like no one really spoke to each other. Camellia, we never saw Camellia speak with Shorekeeper. We never saw Alto interact with Encore in the Black Shores even. There was no one really interacting with each other. And I really hope in Rinascita we actually see more of like, it's not just Rover going from place to place. It's just like, it's an integration into like the environment that we're going into.
You know what I will say, and I will praise Gensha for this, like not only just Fontaine, but even though like I don't like Natlin, the cast of characters are actually very strong with each other, whether they're on the good side or the bad side. Like I will say the way they integrate the characters, they're very smart in how they want to make you want to pull, because like Fontaine felt like an actual like crew of people that are all working together to try to fight this whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And I do agree with you, like wuwa feels a little soulless in that sense, where it's like, again, it is Rover and like X person. It's never Rover and like a gang of people. Even when you did the war and like Act 6.
1.6.
Exactly. That was the closest you got to that feeling.
Act 6.
Yeah, exactly.
One thing that I do think is a little bit dangerous, not necessarily dangerous, but one thing that I've seen happen way too frequently in Genshin Impact is the main character kind of just doesn't do that much in a lot of cutscenes. And I think the biggest example to me is obviously in Fontaine, even though I consider it the best story. Like, you guys know that cutscene, right? With Ryosley, Risley and Clorinde, and then they're escaping.
Yeah.
And the Travelers that was great.
No, I'm saying it's great for Risley and Clorinde, right? They look like a bunch of badasses.
Yeah.
And the Travelers just like running. They're just running the entire. They're not doing anything. Like, not a useless goddamn thing, right?
The Traveler's probably the most like powerful person
that's
there
never
too.
gonna happen, right? You're never gonna have the MC that just sits there with their thumb stuck up their ass, just spectating, right? And then Paimon's over there spectating too, right? And I think just from that perspective, it's, that's not where I would want the story to go. I like that the MC actually, displays power. I like that the MC is actually useful in combat. Is actually a playable character that you don't bench permanently.
Yeah.
And as long as they begin to integrate more and more of like those interpersonal character reactions, I think like the ones that we see with Chisha, Yang Yang, and Baija is actually quite nice, but it doesn't get shown enough. there's also that dynamic, right, with Mortefi and Zhang Liao. They're like, you know, Zhang Liao always plays like pranks on him or something, right? Or makes stuff hard to find intentionally, right?
Yeah.
And those are like just little tidbits that we get in the story that I don't think have had enough events expanded on with them. I'd rather see less events focused on like low logistics, random NPCs, and more of the events, you know, focused on like the research center in Jinzhou, right? And then we help Zhongli and Mortefi, right, with some random experiment, and then we see them more in the game world. I think having all of these NPCs like lead these event quests is kind of what's creating this dynamic, right? Of like we're never seeing the characters interact, and I think it is kind of like a missed opportunity there. But, you know, that could be a mix of like, you know, needing the VAs back, you know, like scheduling, that sort of thing. And then maybe once they can work out like a better cadence for how they're going to develop those interpersonal reactions between the NPCs, because that's going to require like voice work, right? To really make effective, unless they're going to do unvoiced dialogue for everything.
I think there could be
You know
a
what really
middle ground,
infuriates me?
though.
Sorry,
Yeah.
just to build off that, like they have all these characters they still haven't incorporated into the story at all. We've got Danjin, we've got Kalkaro, we've got all these characters that they have. Yuan Wu as well, a little Discord model.
No, leave him out. Leave him out. I don't care about Yuan Wu. Leave him out. Leave him out.
Yeah, we don't need Yuan Wu.
Fucking
What I'm saying is-
Discord mod, get him out.
What I'm saying is that they could have used these characters that they already have to be part of the story that they're having to talk to NPCs or whatever. They could easily just rewrite it, just tweak it a little bit, and just have them be part. And like I completely agree. Like this is also a problem that I've also levied against Genshin and other games as well. Why they have all this massive cast of characters that people are pulling for. Yeah. Use them more in the story. I want to see these characters interact with each other in the world as well. I don't want them just to exist for the sake of the main character. It's just pretty stupid, in my opinion.
I want to
see them once too.
Yeah, there's one thing I will talk Genshin on. Like for example, like Liwei. What's her name? Yanfei was a pretty prominent character in Liwei, and they were a 4-star. You know what I mean? So it's hello. Did I just oh my god.
On the internet.
Hello?
I agree.
Hello, Elon Musk. Elon Musk.
Elon Musk.
All right.
Elon Musk.
The way he got around.
Cap's hair is red.
Yo, wait. Can I say,
we back?
Katahana said Cap had a Starlink installed. I thought that was like an internet company where you live. My dumbass took 5 minutes to realize that the Starlink is not an internet company. So I was like,
it's
damn.
not? What is it?
Wait,
Kind
it
of
is, right?
Goofy as fuck.
It's
Is
both.
it?
It's like a 2-in-1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it? Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
they, like
Yeah.
that's how like
global internet
Global-
company.
Wait, what did you think it was? Or what
I
did
thought
you
it was
like?
I thought it was the Elon Musk chip that they put in you, and then you're like, go to that game. You know?
Oh.
That's the Starship. Yeah.
No.
It's all Star someday. It's all something.
I'm
Yeah.
cooked. I'm cooked.
What I was what I was trying to say was that one thing I'll take from Genshin is that, for example, take Liwei. Yanfei is a 4-star, and she was pretty prominently featured, you know, in that character story. Even in Wuwa, we still have Chisha Yang quite prominently featured.
Wait, Cap. Oh, it is back to me.
Oh, what? No, we're good.
Sorry, I was watching the stream. I thought it crashed.
Oh, no.
The
We
stream's
can
back. You're good.
And I think, you know, Wuwa should take that opportunity too. I mean, they kind of did it in 1.0 a little bit, but I feel like now we're just not seeing the cast, like you say.
I think it was lost after 1.0. I think like
I don't think the
there could
rewriting
definitely
of the
be a
story
middle ground.
helped that. Like if they don't really truly know how they want to flesh out the main story, it's even then harder to write in the characters themselves when they don't even know what exactly they wanted from that, right? It would feel really choppy to change up the main story, then they also have to change up all the new characters that they have or had in 1.0. So I can kind of understand why maybe they might not have for 1.0, but they should definitely do it for going forward for 2.0.
Can I ask a question that I saw a tweet, and it was probably a troll tweet, but I think it is actually a legitimate question that people think like. I don't necessarily agree with it, but do you think 1.0 is like their quote-unquote beta and 2.0 is now their real game that they wanted to push out? Like, because I feel like 100%. A lot of people are pushing that narrative. Yeah, I think a little bit yes and no, but I think it's very.
I don't think they had a choice. They had to. They had to release the game. They had to release the game, and they did.
I
I
don't like that line of reasoning. In my opinion, I think you could use that reasoning for parts of the game, like the story, because they have openly admitted to rewriting it. But I think in every other facet of the game, it is one of the most complete like action RPG games on the market.
RPG games.
Like
overall.
Like your grinding, like your progression, your activities, the combat system. Like I don't feel like I'm playing a game in beta, or I don't felt like I wasn't feeling like I played a game in beta.
Well,
like something's in beta, like stuff to be broken, wildly imbalanced. Like all the limited characters feel so good to play. Every single one released, and none feel like they're overwhelmingly more powerful than others.
Yeah, so I agree with you. Oh, well, I think that the story-wise, this is the beta, but I do think gameplay-wise, it's good. Yeah, what were you gonna say, right? I want to hear it.
I was just curious. I mean, how strong is Camellia compared to every other character?
She's
I mean,
T0.
To me, she feels. Yeah, to me, she feels ridiculously powerful. Like,
unless you play her against Inferno Rider Hologram 6, and then no. Or the monkey.
She has very high numbers, but she is extremely hard to use against a lot of enemies.
Yeah, if they move a lot, she sucks. I'll be real. Yeah, if you move a lot, use anyone else
really
than Camellia.
Hard to use against certain enemies.
The monkey Inferno Rider, no, she's terrible. Literally ass.
Especially in overclocking mode.
Okay.
Yeah, but she's still like I think overall.
I think a lot of people have
really
felt using her in the elusive realm against like the final Inferno Rider boss, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm getting my ass kicked. I need to use Bellborn to do anything."
Yeah,
bro. In that fight, I used 2 healers and Jiangli out because I have skill issue. That's exactly what I do.
You still wiped. You still wiped. I saw it live.
I just want to say I've used Gianna. I've never had a problem with Elusive Realm. Just putting it out there.
My God,
I'm just putting it out there.
You're a filthy whale.
I'm not a whale. I'm not a whale.
First of all, wait. You don't even go for S6. How are you really in love with Gian if you're at S5 and you
content
stop?
creator.
Right? Not even
free to play. I was doing it free to play.
Like 80% of the wedding ring.
Oh,
bro, I would have been dropping ass, getting subs on, trying to get that motherfucker at S6 right now. What are you talking about?
Oh, not a business.
We need more subs.
Jab subs right now.
S6 Gian subs immediately.
Subs? That's crazy, dude.
Listen,
I want to see gift.
I'll be real though.
Subs in there right now.
Gian from like S5 to S6 is literally like a 50% damage increase, which is nuts. So I was an idiot for missing out on that. I'm not gonna lie.
You'll probably get his next rerun in 2026. So get ready for that. Start saving.
I will. I think this is a really good opportunity to kind of shift the topic from story into actual quality of life, the actual technicalities of Wuthering Waves. What sort of quality of life changes do you think should be taken from 1.0 to 2.0? Firstly, like, I know we've all had a thing recently that even 1.4 released a quality of life change. Putting more materials in the elusive realm was a really good idea. That's like one of the main things that people were like wanting for such a long time, and it's finally there. So that grind is significantly reduced, and I'm very thankful for that. I'm so thankful for that. But what other quality of life changes do you want? Like we're not talking little things that you do from patch to patch, but like big ones that would make 2.0 significantly a better experience for you guys to play. Is there anything that immediately sticks out for you guys?
I just want them to give me so many fucking exile rings because I'm so tilted at how annoying those are to farm. Fuck exile rings.
You can get so many of them just doing the IR now. If you do your 12 runs a week, like unless you're leveling character as often as you possibly could, I think you're gonna be set on those.
Okay, good. I'll do that.
I need a tuner grinder, bro. I have 0.
Yeah,
tuners are that Itoma.
Yeah.
I genuinely think that a good idea for them when it comes to echoes is just remove tuners from the game. Because you already have like a bottleneck, right, in terms of your progression from Echo experience. And I think tuners at this point, like, just for the sake of like a PS5 release and like reducing button inputs as you're upgrading shit, like just imagine, right, a PS5 player, they're just like, fuck, I gotta like press this and then go to this menu now. And they're doing it like, you know, one level at a time, like you should if you're not trying to waste stuff. What if like the second you just leveled it to 5, it just showed the substat?
Yeah,
it would make
there's literally no point. There's no point in having there's no point for leveling and then rolling stats. There's no point. There's literally pointless.
I think there's a way they could do like a midway point between that. I think that what should do is they should level the echo. Say you max out the level, and they show you the substats, but they're not activated. They're not activated until you put the tuners on them. That way, you're not wasting tuners. You're not wasting this. You have all this as well.
Yeah,
I think that'd be a better way to do it.
Delete it. I think you just
delete them, bro.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. I've been told to like front flip into a car in front of Roblox multiple times for saying this, but like I truly believe, truly believe. And now, granted, St. Tonus has seen my account. I don't play my account, so I'm a little bit of a hoarder. So I don't have this problem, but everyone else in my chat and all my friends have this. They run out of echo tubes way too easily. And I think since you can't fodder level 0, which I understand why, because you get 1 million echoes in the wild.
Yo, great, thank you for the raid, buddy.
Resolution was like, okay, what if you combine 50 echoes for like 1 gold tube, or like just something, and there's like a weekly cap on it where it's like, please, like for the love of God, like I don't know if Elusive Realm gives echoes. I mean echo tubes. I really don't know. They do? Okay. But I feel like that is because you will not probably get them to make level 0 fodder. It is what it is because of the way the actual initial game works. But I think like if you can merge echoes for either maybe purple, don't even make it gold, but just give me something to do with these 2,000 echoes that I'm sitting on, because the combination shit, when I keep getting spectral echoes that roll havoc damage or whatever it is, I probably am going to take their advice. You know what I'm saying? Like I just can't do it. Like it's ridiculous.
Like so I still think they should. I still think you should get experience from level 0 echoes, because people might say, I've seen people say, oh, that'll just break the game. No, you still have the massive amount of RNG. So even if you can use all these as experience for other echoes,
I agree with
the chance of getting a good echo from that, even though I've seen people say that, like, no, it's fine as is. Sorry, you're wrong. Because the RNG is a massive part of this, and you need like sets for like practically every character. I mean, you can swap them a lot easier again, but you're going to be building several different sets. Like some characters can benefit from 2 different sets depending on how you want to use them. If you want to use Janshin as a main DPS or as a support, she needs 2 different sets. So they've got all these characters here. You're going to get different sets for all of them. You can't equip all sets onto all characters at the same time if you're doing some things inside like a Tower of Adversity. So no, that point is completely stupid in my opinion. Level 0 echoes should be used as experience for that, and no one will ever convince me otherwise of that. Sorry.
Hold on, hold on. Can I post something here on that though?
No.
If you're an avid gacha game player, what gacha game gives you unlimited artifact grinding? Now, that's not to say like you could never do it, but I'm saying I feel like the genre calls for some degree of time progression bottleneck. And because you can unlimited farm for the echoes to get the right main stats, and then, you know, more echoes farm to roll on those, you would have a literal infinite system where like you could just literally go nonstop. Like there is no stop point.
One thing
you know what the mitigating factor for it? Sorry, you know what the mitigating factor for that is? Like if it was just like that, it's the RNG. The RNG will fuck you. And that's just my opinion.
No, but the RNG is still there though. That doesn't do anything anyway.
So this is my opinion on the matter when it comes to echoes. Is let's just think about it from the perspective of a lot of other gacha games, right? Where, you know, let's just say like a Honkai Star Rail or a Genshin Impact, right? Do you ever have an artifact or relic XP problem in those games?
No. Personally, no. I'm not gonna lie to you. Only at the beginning of the game, and I understand that. And so I think that with the big problem for me with wuwa as well is the 3 costs, because I think the 4 costs and 1 cost are fine. I don't care, but I can sit down and farm a 3 cost for either an hour or 10 hours,
get nothing,
and still not get what I want.
Nothing.
And now I know from events. I know from events they have the maulables or whatever it's called where you can pick it, and I love that. But then when that rolls dog shit, I'm now shit out of luck on my Camilla, and so no,
I get that, right? But theoretically, let's talk about Genshin and Honkai Star Rail again. You can go forever and never get an on-piece stat in that game.
Yep.
Like RNG can screw you so badly. Like this is why you always have so much relic or artifact XP. You literally can't use it until RNG gives you the right piece. The reason why Wuthering Waves feels like it has an echo experience problem is the fact that you're always able to roll something. You're always able to spend stuff because it's a lot easier to have something that's rollable in the first place. Versus another game, right, where a lot of people, they'll just go into Honkai, right? They'll spend all of their energy on a domain and they'll be like, all right, I got dog shit. See you tomorrow. That's the gameplay loop for so many players, right?
But I think
I don't think that's a better version, right? Just because you have more experience, oh, I can take everything I need to plus 25 whenever I want it. You're getting that opportunity, like, who knows when? Once a week, once a month, once every 2 months? There are people that still haven't built Acheron yet, right? And they've been farming for her set since she released.
So I don't disagree with you, but real quick, so then my counter to that, and then I'm going to shut up. I think if they're going to keep it that way, then they should make it 2-piece and 4-piece. So that way we get our off pieces. Because if they're not going to change it, then I think the 5-piece set, it has no purpose. I understand things have to be time gated, and I don't disagree because we will run out of content. I mean, we will run out of content on it, right? That's why everyone plays on everyone else's account. But then I think because with Genshin and at least Genshin, I don't really play Star Rail like that. You can have that off piece and makes life a lot easier, and you can be grinding, Hu Tao's domain for 3 years. So I don't think wuwa is a bad system, but I think there are ways to massively improve it where it could still be time gated and be more enjoyable. So I think there has to be a give at some point. I really do.
Also, let's not pretend you need perfect artifacts in any of these
games.
Like, we're saying, oh, you need RNG for the perfect piece. Nobody needs a perfect piece, guys.
I just need something to break damage.
No, I need to.
At the end of the day, right, there's like a specific level of investment that'll get you clearing content, right? And then everything you do after that is just because you want to. Because you want the numbers to be bigger, you want your rotations to be XYZ seconds faster. This is like you're in the luxury mode of gacha gaming. Every wave plate you're spending on echoes after you're able to clear endgame content is honestly, right, the biggest waste you could possibly do, right? Because you're just overkilling at that point. And I think having like that's where the grind is, right? In a lot of these games, getting like that super high number. And if we're getting to the point where we're complaining about like not being able to get to like the luxury stuff faster, even though it's not something we ever really need to do in the first place, I think we're kind of like we're asking to like kill the end game essentially.
No, that is fair.
I think our point of reference is a bit skewed because obviously we're comparing the Wuthering Waves to both Honkai Star Rail and Genshin, and we're just completely and maybe it's just not on purpose. We're completely discounting all the other, you see, all the gacha games do this. No, they literally don't. As someone that's been playing gacha games since they were a thing in Japan, I've been playing since like Puzzles and Dragons and all this. I've been playing all these, right? Most of the gacha games do not have this kind of system. Like Fate Grand Order, one of the OG games, it doesn't have that system. It has the craft essence as well. You level it up, you got the stats. That's it, you're done. Same thing, I think PGR has the same thing. You got all these memories as well. You level it up, you've got the stats. It's all down to your skill there. Same thing with other games as well. And Path to Nowhere has the same thing. You equip some crime bands onto them, you level them up, you've got the stats. Literally, our point of reference is Hoyoverse games, and they are the problem. I'm sorry.
Well, hold on. You're misrepresenting me there. You're misrepresenting 100% what I said there. 100% what I'm talking about is you're talking about the XP game.
Specifically.
Okay, sorry. I sounded like you were referencing me. No, I'm saying the ability to get XP is time gated in all of those games. Like you've not presented me a single game that's unlimited XP farmable. There's always some degree of time gate and or cash value that you got to dump into it to be able to do that. The RNG on the artifact rolling, yeah, you're totally right. Like PGR is the exact same way. It is very much like fixed stats. So I'm not arguing the RNG stat rolling. I'm talking about the XP materials to level up artifacts. There's maybe a handful that break that mold, but the vast majority take that approach.
Yeah, Fate Grand Order has been giving so much energy. Right, I have so many apples in my inventory. It's actually insane. I will never be able to eat through all these apples. I have unlimited grind.
I would say the superior gacha game, Jujutsu Kaisen Fed to Parade, is also the same way.
Fuck that game. Get out.
Get out. Get out.
Unironically. Cap, you're not allowed in the stream now. Get off.
I think one thing we also have to factor in is that the Genshin Honkai, like unending gear treadmill for perfection, that system works. Okay? Like it works.
Oh yeah,
it's a big reason why so many people have not quit these games.
There's one thing
it's because they have something to constantly do every single day, and they have like something to waste every single day, basically. Yeah. And
I'm not sure about that.
I think people have become accustomed to it.
Where the only thing they do is do their domain or artifact runs and then not play the game anymore. Basically.
Yeah, but I also know a lot of people that have quit because the artifact grind is. I don't see any progression in my characters. That's why I'm quitting. I've seen that as well. The ones that are still playing, they're doing it for that reason. But there's a lot of people that aren't playing anymore because it's just so damn dog shit.
Cap, I want to hear you. Cap, let's hear what.
No, I want to say I literally.
I don't.
I played Honkai Star Rail. I'm gonna switch for a minute. I switched Honkai Star Rail since the beginning.
That was your first problem.
I stopped playing Honkai Star Rail just before 2.0 came out because I spent so long trying to get rolls for my Bibita Lune, and I didn't. I literally quit the game. I was so pissed off by it. I was just like, I can't deal with it. And then they came back when like 2.2 came out. I left the game for 6 months because substats were boring. But also like Honkai right now has literally just announced a new way to roll for substats on their relics.
Yeah.
which is what I do think
Cool.
other games should do.
Wait, can I ask you a genuine question though? When the game, because I feel like there's a lot of people, like sometimes it could be me, it could be everyone else in this call, or just other streamers who can be out of touch because like we're better at these games. And I don't think gacha games are hard, but to the public they really are, right? Especially wuwa. When you quit, did you quit because you couldn't because you had bad sub stats, or you just quit because you were tired of the grind?
I was tired of the grind. I was tired of the grind.
Okay.
Like I wanted to level my good Ibibitu Lune team, and then I just never got it. And I pulled for Ruan Mei when she came out, and then I left the game until 2.2, and then I came back and I was like, oh, 5 is coming out. I got Ruan Mei. Perfect. This is for me. And then I got back into the game. You know what I mean? So that's what I did.
I can't lie. I stopped playing HSR. I can't clear MOC. I can't clear MOC.
That might be a skill issue. I'll be real.
No,
but it's a real thing though. It's a real thing.
That's a Hufflepuff issue.
You don't put enough time in.
You're probably right. It probably is a skill issue. I'm not saying it isn't. But like I've got good like characters and I've got good team comps, but I just can't. I can't wrap my head around the strategy. Yeah, I just can't wrap my head around the strategy on how the best way to clear this within a certain time. I can't do it.
So what you'll say? Oh, this is a really good point actually. That I kind of had a conversation with Say Totus the other day, kind of briefly. The Honkai who was it with? No, it was Ryuku actually.
It was me.
Honkai Star Rail is more about using your brain and less skill, whereas Wuthering Waves is more about skill and less brain. Because in wuwa we don't really have like meta team compositions in the sense of like playstyles. We don't have specific playstyles and wuwa like we do in like Genshin.
This conversation as well a couple months ago.
We don't have like hyper blooms or anything like that. It very much is these characters tend to fit together the best out of all the others and they kind of work together. We don't have playstyle metas. So I think that lends into more of the wuwa is more on the cusp of skill. It's skill plus stat, based rather than brain. But Honkai is definitely more brain. So So what do you guys think about that? About
are you calling wuwa players stupid?
Yes.
She's done. She's done. She's done.
We're fucking done.
Base.
Yeah,
it's wait, team.
Guys.
Yeah.
I was gonna say like when it comes to the whole skill and brain thing, it's like when you fight hologram bosses, when you got it's like when you get to like high hologram tiers, I think one of the reasons why some Wuthering Waves players, Cat probably says are stupid is because some people try to attempt
I don't say people are stupid. I just want to point it out there. I don't think that.
Let him finish.
Some people try to attempt these level 5, level 6 hologram bosses with one character, even though you're meant to really use 3, and then they rage, Cap.
Okay,
because they're using one character.
I know.
You gotta know when to use which character and what skills. When to use the skill, when to use the ult. When to, all these, you got to use your mind. You got to use your mind. You got to use your brain. Using your brain about these, which characters fit best with each other. When to use this character in which particular.
But Honkai does that far more than Wuthering Waves to a tremendous extent. It's not nearly on the same level.
I'd say like.
Does that more?
I don't think there's any contention.
Like H starts here, with like brain usage.
Yeah, I agree.
I think what was up there.
Because like with HSR, like if like one character, like one enemy's like break toughness is low, right, and the other one's is a bit higher, you got to make sure which one is more effective to use for your next turn. And the next character.
It's not just the fight itself with Honkai, but it's your whole team setup. Like I was talking to Sarah about this too the other day. Like it's a lot of Honkai is how you set up your team and how you specifically build your team and the knowledge of how to build it. With wuwa, you don't have to worry about that as much. You don't really have to worry.
I don't agree with that as much. Like Sarah, I just went on Sarah's account yesterday, and I'm a Honkai Star Rail scrub. Like I actually will say this proudly. I got my ass beat by the original Aventurine before he got nerfed. I couldn't beat his ass because my account sucked. My account was trash, right? I went on Sarah's account yesterday and 0 cycled. And then I almost 0 cycled the second half, my first time, like just playing. And Sarah's account is good, but that second team was low key, like not on the power level, as Sarah said, like to 0 cycle efficiently. We were off by like half a turn. And so I think with wuwa, and especially with casuals, people call wuwa like the Elden Ring of gacha. And you also have to keep in mind, a lot of these people play that game on mobile. I don't know about you guys. I think that is the worst video game to ever play on mobile. And so I think there is a it's just the worst thing ever, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I played on my girl's
phone. I attempted it. I couldn't play it.
Yeah, no,
I genuinely couldn't play it.
It's bad.
Skill issue. I do it all the time, bitches.
I think like when we talk about the game, like I don't think gacha games are hard, but I think wuwa is up there as the most difficult and brain usage because you could fuck up the outro skills.
I don't know.
And
skill. That's a skill thing.
What you're playing.
I don't know.
Well, the one thing that I really
go ahead.
The one thing that I really enjoy about wuwa is that there is so much variability in your results based off of how you're playing, how you're rotating, what order you're pressing buttons in. And I think like the biggest example of this, right, is a character like Camellia, right, where you can just sit up in the air, do a blossom form the entire time, spin the entire time, dodge every once in a while. Very easy way to play the character, right? But you'll get a worse time than actively using every single part of her kit and making it more of a challenge for yourself, right? By using more of like her regular basic attacks instead. And to me, having that wide difference in the potential results just based off of the actions that you're doing on the field and, reacting to enemy actions as well is where a lot of like the magic comes in with the experience, right? Because that might be the difference between one person 3-starring with 10 seconds left or a person not being, 2-starring, right? And they're missing it by 10 seconds. And having that opportunity for optimizations or just being told skill issue with your echoes and then having to grind more, there are multiple ways, right, for people to get there. In HSR, I don't think there's any like extra things you can do to spice up your in-game gameplay to do things that like your equipment just isn't ready for. And in wuwa, I think it's the complete opposite. You can like, Ethan already knows, right? Like with Gian rotations and his cancels, right? You'll save literally up to 20 to 30 seconds on your clear if you just do his rotations differently.
Car cancel.
Sure.
Yeah. And one thing that a difference between the two games too is one thing that can't happen is like time is the greatest equalizer for like anybody's account, especially when it comes to like Honkai Star Rail, right? Like, because you're gonna get your daily resin, you can run, you'll get more relics, you can get your skills leveled up, and then eventually, even if you can't beat a boss now, over time, not even by doing anything different other than just like leveling up relics, you'll be able to clear these on full auto. Whereas like with Wuthering Waves, if like time doesn't necessarily mean like you're gonna solve it unless you are putting in the actual time like investment to like honing your skill to be able to do those fights. You're not like, I can clear Memory of Chaos like on full auto. I'm not gonna zero cycle, but like zero cycling to me is the equivalent of doing a no-hit run on a hologram 6 boss. That's like you're really trying to like get whatever content you can get out of it.
Try hard.
But like but to clear it and to beat it, like honestly is just it is solved with time. Like when it comes to Star Rail, where like I will say wuwa, you have to actually like play the game and practice the game and get the skill to actually be able to do that.
There are people.
That's not more thinking.
Hey, Tom, go on.
I think that's more game knowledge. I don't think that's like using your brain to play the game. Because like if you just play the game more, you'd get better. With Honkai Star Rail, you actually have to think. Like if you fuck up once, everything can go wrong.
In Honkai Star Rail, you legitimately have the most stacked relic sets ever, and you can just auto everything. MOC.
Look, I have super mid relics on pretty much all my teams because I hate the artifact grind. Honestly, it's my least favorite part of any gacha endgame. I will make sure I've got main stats, 1 or 2 optimal stats, roll it, and call it a day if it's half decent. And I can do that with any on like of my mid teams. I can walk up to Memory of Chaos 12, throw it on auto, and I'm gonna clear it. Like that's what it gets to, and that's simply just like I was a day 1 Honkai Star Rail player. So literally, it's just the time advantage of being able to play long enough. I don't think about ever my skills or turn order. I throw in a fucking super break team and everything dies. Whereas like with Wuthering Waves, Cav made a comment earlier that she's right, that there's like less archetypes to play around in Wuthering Waves. Like there's no dot teams in Wuthering Waves. Like there's no super break. Like it's just like you kind of pick the main DPS you'd like to use, and then you kind of find the team that's optimal for them. So like I will say like that is something that is like definitely a difference between the two games. But like time is an equalizer with Star Rail that doesn't exist with Wuthering Waves, because you at the end of the day in Wuthering Waves, even if you have good relics or good echoes, you still have to have the skill to do it.
Yeah, please refer to it as echoes, please. Thank you. We're superior, please. Please.
Wait, but
Jesus Lord.
I have a video right where I demo an S6 R5 Camellia, and there have been people in the comments saying that they've wiped with their S6 Camellia. Right? When if you literally do one rotation with her, just one, she kills the entire middle floor boss. Right? And if there are people that are simply wiping with that level of power, you know that it literally, like, clears can't be bought. You have to take the time to actually learn the game.
I want to point something to that. I literally played on an account with an S6 Camellia, and I could not do some of the holograms. I'll be real, I still couldn't do it.
No, but that's real. So that's the thing. A lot of people say that, but I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, almost 95% of the gacha players in all these games are skill issue, right? Like, realistically, that's why it's catered to casuals. Like Saint said, I would have people come into my stream with S3 Jinsei or just cracked accounts, 100, whatever. They can't do it, and so I log in, bam, knock it out. Instantaneously, like, wow, you're good. I'm like, no, I just know the mechanics a little bit more than you.
It's like any boss fight in any RPG. Though, look at the Soulsborne games. With hologram bosses and with bosses like that, if you want to play a harder difficulty, that they have a very hefty health bar. They do. When you get obviously higher in the difficulty, they have a hefty health bar. But if you can constantly map out their animations and know the dodge time, that you will eventually beat. You will eventually do it. And unfortunately, it's like one of those Soulsborne games where it does take time for you to perfectly understand how the boss moves.
Sure.
You're never gonna 100% see where it's going to go. You're not going to have foresight and go, he's going to go here at this time. It's going to take time for you to learn it. It's literally rinse and repeat. It literally is just keep doing it,
muscle
and
memory.
eventually
It's just that.
you will do it. It's muscle memory.
It's just that.
But some people when they do these bosses, they want it now. They want to beat they want to get the rewards. They want to get it now. So they'll attempt this difficulty 5 or 6, 4, 5 times and go, it's too fucking difficult. I can't do it with why can't I beat it with my S4, S5 Jan or my S3 Jinchi or my S6 Camellia? And it's like, well, you've attempted, you've got better over these 4 or 5 attempts, but there are also moves that occasionally that the boss will whip out that because you haven't played against the boss enough, you don't know. So you just need to constantly keep learning. It's like any other RPG game with a difficult boss. You need to learn. I
don't think anyone really disagrees with I'm not even too sure like what the topic is. Like we have like either strategy or mechanical skill. Obviously, Wuthering Waves is very dependent on mechanical skill. If you're not doing anything, right, there's no auto button, you're gonna lose the game, right? I do think there is like, I guess, a difference in terms of like with the middling account or someone that's not a day one account, like where your game knowledge or mechanical skill kind of like contributes more to your success. But I don't know. I feel like there's not a lot of disagreement with Honkai Star Rail has more strategizing and Will was more dependent on mechanical skill.
I think that's just an objective truth to the whole matter. I do want to kind of push the topic a bit. Again, talking about playstyles and metas, we don't really have a playstyle meta in Wuthering Waves. Do you think we will see one soon? And if so, what do you think it could possibly be? I'll be real, I have zero clue if there were to be one, what it would be, because there's literally nothing that hints towards any of it to me personally.
I think there are actually 2 metas in the game right now. Already? Oh, sorry, Amethyst.
No. Go on, after you.
I think there's a hyper carry meta and a dual DPS meta.
Okay.
And there are certain characters, right, that have like delayed ramp up times in dual DPS, like Shorekeeper. You know, she has like some weaknesses, right, outside of S1 in dual DPS lineups, where Verena has like faster concerto time, and can make a lot of rotations in those teams a lot easier, a lot more smooth, faster access to her full buffs, right? And I think having a character like Shorekeeper was when the meta got a lot more defined for me, right? She's a character that really supports one person getting all the buffs on the field and then just doing a shit ton of damage, right? That's why Zhongli Yao suddenly became really good. Jian became even better. And, you know, Camellia's best team has featured Shorekeeper for a reason, right? And then you have Arena over here, right? Who's kind of a lot better, right? With a character like Chang Li. Where she's somebody that really wants another DPS on the field, somebody that rotates really fast to just shit out intro skills for her, right? So she can like get to her inflamement stacks faster, do a lot more damage, and then, you know, build up her concerto to give the other DPS her buffs. And having these sort of defined abilities in people's kits and, you know, being able to clearly see, right? One is a lot more sweaty, right? Dual DPS is freaky gameplay, let's be honest, right? It's not something that everybody can do. But the option's there, right, for people that really want to push like their mechanical skills with the game. While hyper carry, let's be honest, it's a little bit easier, right? Because you don't have to like click the buttons at the top of your keyboard. You can click everything else, like, you know, you don't have to click the number keys when you're playing hypercarry as much. And so I think it's like the meta to me is like split between easier styles of play with less mechanical complexity versus like this more like wacky shit that you can do. And they might have DPSs, or not DPSs, but like sustainers in the future that do things, right? Like extend outro skill buffs or make them retain the outro skill buffs when you swap the character, right? But they don't give any buffs themselves. That could be like a new meta that comes out and it's way more focused on quick swap. So that's what I hope to see happen in Rinascita. Maybe a sustainer that doesn't give like, you know, a 15% attribute damage boost, like, or deepen, like Verena and Shorekeeper do right now. And maybe one that extends outro skill buffs, increases their duration, but then also makes it so that, they don't expire when you swap the character.
Amethyst, what are you going to say, buddy?
I was going to say, like, with the whole hypercarry, I was going to say, if there is a meta, I would say hypercarry. Obviously, the second one that Sentontas said, like the dual DPS one, I didn't really know about. I'm not going to lie to you. It's the first I've heard of it. And if that's the case, then that sounds obviously a lot more complex. So if there's maybe the reason why it isn't as heard of is because it is complex. Not many people want to delve too deep into that, maybe. But hypercarry, like I use Jin, like my team revolves around Jinshi, Yuan, Wu, and Shorekeeper, and that always meant there to support my Jinshi, so my Jinshi could just nuke whatever's on the bloody field, right? So hypercarry, I think, is always going to be a thing, depending on the DPS.
Sure.
So I think hypercarry at this point in time is the closest thing to a meta build or a meta composition we can get, in my opinion. That is a lot more common and a lot more well known. But other than that, I think unless you have one of those hypercarry potential characters that can deal that kind of nuclear damage, like look at Camellia's damage. I've seen people do like 500,000-600,000 damage with Camellia. So again, that is a hypercarry worthy character there, in my opinion. But I personally don't see anything else that a lot of the people will play other than hypercarry, again, because it's an easier style of play. But in terms of how these new characters are going to play in Rinascita, maybe we'll be introduced to a different kind of play, or maybe an easier version of this dual DPS, or a character that can support that kind of play if it exists, like Sentontas says. But I think for now, a hypercarry is like the main go-ahead way to maximize your damage. Build a team around one main DPS. Man.
Give me more interesting buffers. That's what I want.
I'm just thinking, like, I don't really think there's such a thing as an actual meta in the sense that we might be thinking. Like, there's no things like a dot meta. There's no such thing as a hyperbloom meta in Wuthering Waves. It can't really. It's more like carries more like dual DPS or single DPS. It's like I think something that we all forget. Well, most of us I forget very often is like we've also got these other aspects to the combat as well that. Like the echo skills, we've been talking about like Shorekeeper buff, we've been talking about Yuan Wu buff. We've been talking about all these character buffs, but we completely forget this other aspect of the combat and gameplay, which is the echoes as well. The echoes deliver significant buffs to the teams as well. I think that's something what a lot of players forget, myself included.
Same.
And I think that with all this complexity, I don't really think they can, because there's such complexity in the combat thing, unless they bring out something which is stupidly broken. Like if they, like I said before, if they bring out a physical, maybe Zani, and that physical damage just does insane damage to all mobs. Like some mobs you can't deal damage to, like some Spectro mobs you can't deal Spectro damage, so you can't use Jinsa, you can't use Havoc Rover on some Havoc enemies. But if you have physical, it can damage everyone. If that physical unit does insane damage to everyone, I think that might become the meta, but I don't think they're going to do that. I think Kuro is pretty good and pretty granular in how they implement certain combat systems, because that's what they're known for. But I don't think we're going to have that. There's enough complexity in the combat. There's enough complexity in the game as it is. You can get item buffs as well. Characters have their own internal buffs. You got character buffs. Echo buffs that you're equipping to echoes, and then you've also got the echo skills, which is implementing another layer of buffs as well. Like you can get these buffs only if you use the echo, and I think a lot of people forget about that. Like I said, myself included.
Yeah, I agree. Also, I think in general, a lot of these games, especially gacha games, the meta is built around the supports, not really the DPSs themselves, right? So it really depends what support characters we get in the future might significantly change how we play the characters we already have. That's just just really
yeah, like yeah, kind of going off what you're saying there, Ryuku, like the thing is, like, the reality is because every character basically requires a particular set bonus, the actual echoes that can be put on a character is fairly limited, and all the echoes of worthy, like, bonus or value that we know from the echoes, like, have already kind of been found. Like, that's why most people run a 4-cost echo in their main slot, like, when you're running Dreamless on any kind of, like, Havoc DPS or a crown.
That's just equipping them. I mean, like, actually using them in combat. You can't get some echo bonuses unless you use the echo's skill as well, and a lot of people forget to use
but I'm saying that's pretty cut. They might forget to use it, but I'm saying, but it's pretty cut and dry in terms of like the builds for characters that like, the options are limited because we have to do these 5-cost sets that like, there's only so many echoes that you can actually even use for doing that. So like, it kind of reduces that. Like, honestly, my mind went to when Cap asked the question of like, is there like a meta? Like in my mind, like the meta is whatever the new DPS unit is now
That's
the meta
very
because
true.
they're probably going to be power creep and they're going to do more damage.
Is there
I would like to see
power
more.
already?
I would just want to say. I would say a little bit, but what I want to see is more of like what I'll call like a rock paper scissors approach to like some of the combat, where like there are certain bosses that like you would like to use a different DPS character like to battle them. We kind of touched on it with the Camellia one, where like Camellia, while she does crazy damage, is really hard to necessarily get the placements on the Inferno Rider. So like I actually like that because to me that's like a natural way of like pushing a player into like, hey, try a different character, try a different playstyle in a way that might get you a better clear on that. That's not necessarily bringing in like a 5th element or something crazy to make it crazy. Like something like that I think would be beneficial.
So you want the Pokemon system?
Not even necessarily. Like I know some people are like, "Well, we need an elemental reaction system." Like I'm not even like asking for an elemental reaction.
No, reaction. No. The Pokemon as in like grass against fire, fire against water, water against grass.
We do have the Pokemon.
I would appreciate that.
We do have the Pokemon system
like that.
No, we don't. Not really. We only have like the resistance on like the certain elemental type, but I don't think there's actually like additional damage or other like incentives to doing it other than some characters have resistance.
Yeah, you're right in that there's not really additional damage like in like the baseline like attribute system. It's built into like the tower buffs on either side, and then the middle one's always like universal, right? But I think it's just more so like there are certain characters that are just not meant to be used against certain bosses. Like you're not supposed to use Camellia or Jinsei against Scar, right? Because he has Havoc and Spectro. You're not supposed to use Rover in general against Scar because he has resistance to like both the attributes you could possibly be, right?
Does that make the Wuthering Waves a little bit less like free to play friendly? Because it's like, hey,
wait, what did Renu say?
You actually have to like pull certain characters to do certain bosses. If you don't have them, then tough luck.
I think that's a very good topic.
No, I wouldn't say so.
That's literally what we're saying, right? Like you can still have S6 Camellia and still not complete bosses.
Let's hear what Renu said. Renu's been trying to talk for a minute. I want to hear what.
No. I don't want to hear from this whole.
The wuwa hater. No,
wuwa hater.
Listen, I kind of want to bring it back to like what Cap was saying earlier, or what the question was, is like, will we see different metas? And I think the actual question is like, will you see different expressions of damage, right?
Sure.
Will you see different expressions and like ways damage is dealt? And I feel like the hallmark example of like different metas, in RPG back game is actually Zenless Zone Zero. Because you do have different bosses and different enemy types that require different team building. Like Razor with being able to buff himself with shock and being a lot more susceptible to anomaly and disordered team comps, right? And being able to have the different dots like shock, burn, what else is there? There's like the physical one, right? So there are a lot of different anomaly types in Zenless Zone Zero, a lot of different ways to express damage, and this does lend itself to, I guess, diversity in team composition and diversity in like builds and strategies to take to different fights. And what I do think wuwa has is it does kind of seem a little more one note for me, because like you could say like there's elemental typing, right, and strengths and weaknesses, but it just feels more like multipliers on damage and not necessarily like, okay, I need to take a different strategy for this different boss.
I have a question.
Like I need to do more damage.
Yeah.
I have a question for you guys. What would you guys consider Yinlin's forte?
What do you mean by that? Like
you know that thing where she marks the enemies and then every time they take damage, they take an additional hit?
I'd say that's damage over time.
I feel damage.
Isn't that dot?
That is
damage over time, isn't it?
No, it is basically dot.
Isn't it off-field damage?
Shock works in Zenless Zone Zero.
No, but off-field. So dot is just like if you triggered it on them. Maybe I'm misunderstanding Yinlin's kit here, but like if you activate the ability on them, if you stood there and did nothing, they would still be ticking into the damage. Where Yinlin is an off-field damage dealer.
Okay, but I guess it's sort of like it's functionally a dot because there's no circumstance where you're gonna put this on the boss and then not damage them anymore. In practice, it basically is a dot.
Sure,
it can be, but I mean,
off-field dot.
Technically,
I would still say it's a little bit different because, like, a dot, for example, you could trigger that, and then when a boss is going into, like, one of its like uninterruptible combos or something, like, you could still be ticking damage on the boss, like, while that's happening. Like, there are other ways to do that, but I do think Red New is still. Sorry, I'll say Yinlin is probably like a best example of like, hey, here's an alternative form of like another kind of expression that like we could lean into. That's good, but like I agree with like Red New's kind of like assessment of like that there is not a lot of variety of expression. It's like I've said this during the beta, like there's no real bonus or incentive to the elemental type differences other than 5 echoes in the game are like don't take damage to it, and like that's like basically it. And then like if we do stage bonuses, like sure, like maybe they start applying it in that way of giving a little bit of buffs in those ways, but like other than that, it feels like just pick your DPS because you like the DPS. Like it feels like there's no other reason otherwise.
It does feel limited. Like that's for sure. I don't want them to make a element reaction system in the sense like there's arrow and then like pyro and you swirl. But I do think
they did have that.
They did have that previously, yeah, and I don't think it's a good thing to have. But I don't know what you do to fix the lack of elements being important. It's too late into the game to actually strip all the elements away, so I don't think that's going to happen. So I really don't know the answer to that, because if they do an elemental reaction system, I think then it just becomes too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they need to find a way to fix that for sure.
I think it's genuinely just strongest and weaknesses. Like this element is weak to that, this one is strong against that one.
It feels lazy, you know? It doesn't feel like real elements.
Itoma, you gotta get closer to your mic, man. It sounds like you're in the other room.
Actually, I do want to hear more of Itoma's opinion, because Bro has verifiably the 3rd worst Camellia in the whole Wuthering Waves community, and I have that with numbered proof. So I would like to hear a bit more.
Why?
Disrespect on Camellia, Itoma.
No, but
you
why?
need to show that queen some love.
Look, Itoma, what have you done to her?
I've been so
Itoma, what are you doing?
Nothing.
So can I just say one thing, and then we're going to throw it to Itoma. Like you said that maybe in one that was just pure damage, and it's mainly about the character. You just use the character you want. I kind of like it because that way they can focus on implementing different and more interesting combat styles, and they're not focusing on like elemental this, elemental that. I like it how they can focus more on the combat aspect of things, and that way players have the option of choosing the character that they want to play as. You're not being forced to use this specific element for this specific thing. I mean, there are some aspects to that, but you still can do some damage unless you like on the overworld mobs. But like we've already gone through that. But I like the aspect that they can focus more on more interesting combat playstyles for each individual character, and that way the players can decide which ones they want to choose. Like in Genshin, for example, if you want to do the most damage, you play a Hyper Bloom team. That means you got I was going to say Verena in there. You got Nahide in there. You got a Hydra Applicator and another like Electro, probably going to make a Kukushinobu. Like these are the metas. Like if you want to do the most damage, you play these characters. You will not have another option to play any other character if you want to do the same amount of damage. Whereas in Wuthering Waves, you can do similar kind of aspects, similar like levels of damage with basically any character that you want. Now, obviously, there's a difference in power scaling for like 4 stars and 5 stars, but of course, some 4 stars do incredible damage, such as say Danjin. And I just like that it gives the players the option to play in the sense that they want to play. Like when we play like games such as Skyrim, for example, you have all these different play styles that you can have a double-handed, single-handed shield. I prefer playing like the assassin range type thing. And if I was being forced to play a massive Viking berserker type, I would not have fun. I would not have fun, and that I enjoy the way I like to play. And the fact that they have all these different characters in this game that allow me to choose characters that fit my particular playstyle, that the way I like to play, I enjoy that freedom. So that's just my opinion on the situation. And that's
it just makes the elements.
Really quick question though.
It just makes the elements useless then, though. That's the whole point.
Yeah. Like that. Well, let's think about the element system in HSR. It's pretty useless, isn't it? Right?
Sorry, what?
Or well, no, they have different anomaly types. No, yeah. They have different like effects.
They have break effects.
Wolf freeze.
Okay. It's like they have break effects, but it's like you have one unique break effect, and then the rest of it is just you make the meter go down and do more damage. And so I can see the integration there, but break effect realistically in HSR was the most useless, ignored stat in the game for like a year. and it only got fleshed out starting in 2.0.
Okay. Like so, but here's the made some really big echo sets though. All the echo sets though are centered around boosting elemental damage. And I'm saying if elemental damage has no significance, then there's no real point in identifying separate, like making different elemental damage types. So if you're going to have echo sets centered around that, make a reason for it. Or if not, make the echo sets do something different like a lot of the echo sets do in HSR, for example. But I'm going to volley it back to Ithoma because we kind of cut him off there.
Come on, Ithoma.
Sorry. I think the way they can fix it, this is what I think, right? I feel like every element needs to have its own like thing. Its own unique like thing that it can do. Like for example, I don't know, like ice could do some unique, fire could do some unique. Freeze. I don't know, like for example.
Like what's that?
But at that point isn't that we're just getting upon Genshin territory at that point?
No, because that's you mixed elements.
Right, but that's
if you break a shield, like if I break a shield with a fire character, maybe it does example, like a DOT to a boss.
DOT, yeah.
And
like,
then if I break a shield with arrow, and then after that, God comes out and starts doing a whirlwind.
Like the break effects in Star Rail.
Glacio could maybe not freeze enemies, but slow their attack patterns down. So I can see that.
Red New, what are you saying, buddy?
I don't think to be fair, I don't think Wuwa needs to do any of these things. Like to Ryuku's point, it's it's fine. Like you pick your favorite character, you do the thing, right? But yeah, no. Come back to me. I need to.
Going back to the.
I lost my train of thought. Sorry.
Going back to the original discussion, just thinking about like metas, right, and like maybe specific teams. I think one part of the discussion that we really haven't gotten into and even talked about yet is just damage types, right? Basic, heavy, resonance skill, resonance liberation damage types. That is essentially, in my mind, like what really drives the team building in the game, right? And they're introducing a fifth one that they added support for, coordinated attacks. Let's take a look at Yuhu's outro skill. 100% bonus for 30 seconds to coordinated attacks. And so to me, if we're functionally thinking about coordinated attacks as like a big chunk of damage spread out over a duration, to me, it's like, okay, functionally that is a damage over time. It's a massive motion value spread out over time, and that's what balances it out. And Yuhu, to me, is support for that archetype. It sucks balls, that's why nobody uses it. But, maybe in the future they're going to have more supporting, like how Kafka's teams were like, not that good until Ron May and Black Swan came out, right? Let's be realistic here. They were kind of trash. People were running crit Kafka because they were so bad. And now, it's like Yuhu's the first part of that support, but I think damage types and then attributes are sort of like an extra on top of that. Like, like Yinlin's outro skill, right? Electro amp and then resonance liberation amp as well. I feel like they're just like an additional balancing lever to have optimal teammates for people, right? Versus just having like a straight liberation buffer and then having no attribute sort of like specification like John Jin. So to me, it's a bit about like character selling as well to make sure that everybody has their dedicated buffer. For example, Camellia doesn't have her dedicated buffer. Jian doesn't have his dedicated buffer. Chong Li doesn't have somebody to give her dedicated buff to yet. And so it's like a mix of like, okay, you have like A+ option. We'll let you pull and, basically buy or spend your resources on the S option. But you already have the A+ option. It's very accessible, right? Sanhua's already really good. Camellia's support is supposed to be better, right? But you already get great performance on Sanhua. So it's like, reaching that next level, hyper-optimizing your teams, and they obviously give those other characters a lot of other use cases. Like how Yinlin, despite being Zhang Li's best in class support, she can support Jinxie teams, and they actually do pretty damn good. So I think like the meta is a lot more free in Wuthering Waves just from that perspective, because like there's all these different damage types, they're not tied to attributes, and that lets like characters from different attributes support each other. But then there's still like archetypes, like coordinated attacks, like Jinxie, where Yinlin, despite being Zhang Liao's best in slot liberation buffer, still works in her teams. So there's more freedom in my mind. And, at the end of the day, you don't need like crazy stuff to clear. You just need to like make sure that you're meeting like a character's baseline necessity, like energy regen or, Jinxie's coordinated attacks. But to me, that's where like the meta is like kind of matching up these characters. And then that's how they're selling them too.
I think that's great, and I think the one way that they could make it even better is if they had Moonlit for everyone then. Like, if you have a Moonlit set for the DPSs, then I think it makes it... Because there is a bunch of different ways to play the game. Like, people can clear solo Yang Yang, like, 100%. Like, you can't do that in Genshin. I can't go in with D-Luke and clear all the hard content, right? Like, there's different ways to play.
That's not even a good comparison, because Yang Yang is like equivalent of a 4-star. So it's like saying you can't solo with Bennett. You can't solo with...
Well, that's even worse then, don't you think?
Yeah, exactly. No, exactly. It is even worse. I'm saying it's even worse than what you're saying.
Exactly. So it's like, but I think then the whole conversation is like, what's the point of the echoes? Like, excuse me, the elements. And so I think tying the kits to the, like, it'd be cool if I could use the monkey on Chang-Li. If there's really no purpose for these, then I think at that point, then they should start introducing more echoes that are just overall general, like, okay,
universal.
This is skill amplification, and I could use this on Yinlan or whoever, like, you know what I mean? Like, whatever the case may be. Instead of just being locked to these two shitty Thundering Tempest, or, like, I personally hate the other one, the one with the increased attack. I think that one's dog shit. That's just personal. I just don't like it. But, like, I think there should be more of that. Yeah, I fucking hate that shit. I don't like hypercare. I like swapping around. But I think
that's a good solution.
Yeah, I think that is the way that you stop this issue, because you can't remove the elements, but you can remove the echoes being tied to those, you know?
Yeah,
or for cost.
That's exactly it. Like, nothing, I disagree with nothing Saint Tanta said. Like, he's right. Those are all cool elements. But then the elements, they're filler, and they just serve as like an artificial barrier to, like, we just want you guys to use these echoes on these characters. Yeah. It's like it doesn't feel like a meaningful contribution.
And I think that
customization.
Once they start adding more Sonata sets, like, I would be absolutely remiss if there weren't new Sonata sets in Rinascita. And, like, the easiest ones, just off the top of my head for me, right? It's like 8-9% attribute damage bonus as the 2-piece, and then the 4 or 5-piece bonus, right? It's just like boost heavy attacks, boost basic attacks, boost XYZ attacks, right? Because they've added all of these damage types into the, like, there's one for coordinated attacks, right? Think about it that way. And then suddenly, right, we have all these different options for these characters, and to me, they've laid down so much groundwork in the baseline stat systems and all these different attack types that it makes expansion so much easier into the future. But to me, it's like they haven't been prioritizing those as, like, new releases in 1.x, just, you know, because they're working on all this other shit, all the new characters, all of, like, Rinascita, and, like, the new map. And to me, it's like, once that door opens and then people start seeing, wow, there's actually, like, a lot of options for, like, customization here, a lot of potential, right, based off those systems. They just haven't tapped into any of it yet, but it's literally there and it's just waiting.
I could see that.
I don't really know if it's, like, there, like, in terms of, I guess, introducing that much complexity for combat, because I feel like it's just, like, kind of buckets. Like, this is a basic damage type, this is skill damage type, and I think the biggest example is, like, Camellia. I think Camellia basically does everything, like, it's her skill, it's her ultimate, whatever, but it's all basic attack damage type, right? And so I feel like it's just boosting numbers. I feel like it's not necessarily what Cap is trying to say, like, oh, different expressions of damage.
Well, I guess how, because from what I recall from ZZZ, right, you trigger these anomaly reactions just by hitting a bunch until they trigger, right?
Sure, yeah.
So it's kind of just like you reach a quota for hits and then you deal damage, basically.
To trigger anomalies, yeah. But there are different bosses where either their behavior or what they do to themselves that demand, like, either different sort of strategies. Either you use, like, someone that's a little more crit-based attack style, right? Or someone that is focused on anomalies and of different types.
I guess the main differentiation for me is that when you're building, like, a crit character, right, in ZZZ, you max out your attack and then your crit and then your other crit, right?
Sure, yeah, crit rate.
When you're building an anomaly character in ZZZ, you just max out different stats instead.
Sure, yeah.
And so to me, I guess it's just sort of like you have an alternative way of doing damage, but it's just, like, arbitrarily split on the stat screen, right? Like, those characters could have easily been designed in, like, a crit way, right? Where it's like after they do XYZ number of hits, inflict a flat amount of damage, right? And then that gets amplified by crits. But functionally, it's sort of like they just assigned it to a different number or, like, a different set of stats.
Sure, I mean, like, damage, reduce HP, go down, they die, right? I mean, but it's still, like, different expressions, and there are still, like, different like paths to it.
I think we're getting a bit too granular about this right now. I mean, after this whole thing, we're getting way too into ways.
You're only saying that because you don't like Zenless Zone Zero.
No, fuck that game. No. To be fair, no. Honestly, we're getting too. Wow, how this you could have 9% here, 12% this. No,
it's a bit too.
We're just gonna see what they're gonna bring out. We're just no.
I do want to put one last thing when it comes to characters and whatever. Power creep. Are you concerned? Is there a problem? Real quick. Do you think there's a problem with that? Real quick. Anyone?
Not now, but maybe. Not now, but maybe.
I don't think there's one right now. I'm not worried. I'm not worried at the moment.
Are we talking about currently or in the future?
I think future.
Either
like
or.
Trends wise, how you think seems?
Either or.
I'm not worried right now.
I mean, I guess like Camellia power creeps a little bit, just a tiny bit, but it's not like major.
I don't think Camellia does. I don't think she does at all. If you think Camellia does not power creep Jinxie in the slightest. I disagree with that. It's impossible. No. Yeah.
The way that these characters deal damage is so much different. Like, I don't know if you guys have tried Jinxie and Pincer Maneuver Warriors. Trash.
No.
Again, it's like we say, it's like cards are good for different things, and that's really kind of it. It's not a power creep, it's just an adjacent to. Like it's equal power, but used in a different way. I don't think it's a creep at all, to be honest.
Does PGR have bad power creep?
Yeah, like it's pretty much 1-to-1. Not like that. It's not
in that game.
Well, yeah, look, so PGR is structured in a way that if you play basically every day and you do all the events, you can basically get one single copy of every new character that comes out. So, like, that's never really a concern if you stick with it. But every time a new character of a new element gets dropped or a new archetype, like there's the 4 archetypes of like amplifier, support, defend, or tank, and DPS. If there is an elemental archetype of a particular role, like yes, they're power creeping. It's I don't think there's been a single case of a character not, and like that's why my answer for this one was like it's gacha. It's gonna power creep.
Yeah,
like that's just it trends.
Yeah, I don't think it. I'm not saying it won't power creep, but I think as of right now, I don't think power creep is a problem.
It's not a concerning level of power creep.
Yeah,
it's not going to be HSR. Yeah. It's not going to be HSR power creep. I don't think Korra will do that at all.
Fingers crossed.
HSR level power creep is absolutely absurd.
Yeah, it's great. I don't know if it's necessarily power creep, but I don't think Hockey Star has a power creep problem. I think they have a gimmick of the patch problem. That's what I think. I think it's more to do with this was like a MOC pure fiction. This is the gimmick you have to overcome. It might be a break character, a character that requires you to use ults to stop it from doing whatever it's doing. I don't think it's a character problem. It really is it's artificial power creep. The devs
I think it's a combination.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's way more. I think it's way more an artificial power creep than a true Akrod being a crit based character and has to use all these things for her to work is a bad thing. It 100% is just artificial power creep. It's not real.
The HSR devs are exceptional at crafting bosses that can only be like comfortably battled by the new characters.
Agreed.
Like they've done it. They've hit it out of the park every single patch with that FOMO. I congratulate them.
Yeah.
I think even if there is a bit of power creep in the future, I don't think it'd be that much of an issue. Like if they follow the same kind of trend as they do with PGR, where they do introduce these new characters, but they're being as generous as they are in PGR, then I don't think it really matters. It'll only become a real issue when it comes to a certain point where they're being stingy with the rewards, like the things that you have to do. If they make it possible for you to accumulate enough pulls to get the new character, the power creeping character, then that's not an issue. But if they're stingy about that and they don't allow you to get to that point, and it does turn into a kind of a pay to win system, that's when it becomes a problem. But at this point, I'm really not too worried about it.
And I think one thing we also have to factor in is just how good Shorekeeper's release was for the state of the game. Like, there were, obviously, like, after the release of Jinxie, right? And then, we had Zhongli, Yao, and Jian, who are basically, like, the other two sort of, like, main DPS characters, realistically. Yeah. The only other damaging characters were Jeja and Chongli, right? They're not main DPS characters. They're not meant to do the most damage on their teams. And then Shorekeeper comes in with no coordinated attacks, right? She can't really charge Jinxie's, dragon laser vomit beam. She buffs Jian and Zhongli's teams a lot more. Yeah. And I think just based off of that, right, we're like, those teams are incredibly strong right now, right? There's no content they're actually the most flexible. They're some of the most flexible characters in the game too, right? Like Jian, poops on pincer maneuver warriors, right? And he's also really good in the tower against single target bosses, right? If you have him right now in this patch, he is more useful than Jinsei on your account. You can use him in more content. Like that's the fact of the game right now. Gian is more useful than Jinsei at the present moment.
I think
it's also like. So I was just gonna say it's early enough in the cycle of the game too that because you need at least 3 teams for like Tower of Adversity, like it's early enough that you're not gonna have too much like toe stepping happening. Like right now, like Verena was like the universal buffer that was slotted into like nearly every team.
Verena.
So having another buffer that can be either substituted for Verena or now you can have her on 2 different teams or have the buffers on each team. Like it's not an issue right now. It will be once we have more of a full cast of characters and there's more of a direct like, oh, I'm no longer using them. But we got time before I would say that's really.
I hate that green thumb, bitch.
Oh my god.
Jesus.
I hate Verena.
You say that with such malice.
I hate Verena, honestly.
Look, the sooner we get another healer to put on my second team, the better.
Yeah,
I just don't want to use Verena.
I think it's that healers and support really define team building in any gacha game. You know, it's not the DPS, is it? To me, it is always the support. So I think we can agree that I agree with Hitoda that Shorekeeper does. Changed a lot for a lot of teams, and is a good thing. Does anyone have any last thoughts about wuwa overall in general? It's been like EOS.
EOS.
End of service, shit game. Fuck this game. I'm dropping my hate video next week. I'll tune in. How Wuthering Waves sucks ass.
What do you guys think of the Game Awards? Of Wuthering Waves being on the Game Awards?
They're gonna lose to what is it? Pokemon. Like should they win? Yes,
they have a chance to lose. I
think TCG Pocket wins.
I said if they lose, it'll be to Pokemon. I think.
I don't think TCG Pocket's been out for long enough for most people to care.
But it's because
the thing is, it has a recency bias.
Yeah. And also, it has the recency bias, but also the IP and the game itself is ultra casual, ultra casual.
It's very, very
and because of how big that fucking IP is, I don't think it won't win. I think
IP doesn't win you an award because you're a big IP, right?
No, it will.
It will.
Pokemon
popularity contest. Why wouldn't it?
If not,
but it's not.
It's not even just like just the IP. It's a good game.
Isn't the Game Awards
Let's slow down.
I'm just wondering. Sorry. I'm just wondering though, because we said this Pokemon Pocket is like really casual friendly. How many casual people do you think are gonna actually go and vote for this? Because they're being so casual, they just want to play the game. They don't care about.
They don't even know the Game Awards is a thing.
No,
exactly. So they could work. I don't know. I'm not too sure.
But like, isn't the actual like
I think it's just a law of
vote
numbers
though like a thing? It's not a big percentage of the overall votes that account for it.
There's 3 rounds. There's 3 rounds of it, isn't there? You got the initial vote.
Not even that our vote matters, bro. It's 90 to 10.
Look, when Pokemon inevitably wins, I just hope they give me my 10 booster packs. So I
selfishly want Pokemon to win.
No. It's so you can get another bloody God pack. That's why you want another God pack.
Hell yeah.
One thing that.
Go on, sorry. Go after you.
Oh, sorry, Amethyst. I was gonna say one thing that I'm like a little like that I would be a little bit upset about, just thinking in the back of my mind whenever it came to the winners and like the judging, is the fact that like two of the games on there, right? Like the card games, they have a lot of their existing mechanics already like made, right? Like Pokemon does it unless it heavily I haven't looked up that much into it, so maybe I won't be like too confident in what I'm saying. But like I'm not exactly sure how much the Pokemon TCG game differentiates from like the actual TCG.
They have changed it. They've changed up the format.
The difference. Yeah, the difference is that it's a simplified gameplay, but it's a totally different card set. Like it's starting from 0. It's starting from scratch. So it
doesn't use like a lot of like the same rules.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's inspired from the actual Pokemon card game. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I guess it's more like, to me, these are like existing IPs that have already like had a lot of like their core gameplay mechanics ironed out, like poker and then the Pokemon TCG. And to me, it's like having that win game of the year.
What the hell is that game?
It's a poker game.
Balatro is not just poker. Let's be fair. I mean, I don't think anyone here has played Balatro. I've played Balatro.
Balatro is like for a mobile game, best mobile game, and also game of the year. Like I've literally never heard that name in my life until I saw it on the. What the fuck?
It's the true gacha endgame, brother. What do you think this is?
Right?
I don't like. I feel like Balatro has been really, really popular. I think this is like more of a bubble, that just it hasn't penetrated, which is
so
like fine. But
people
do talk about Balatro, not necessarily like a meta or like I guess it's so much in terms of like content. But it's just it was a very popular game. It's very casual. It's very easy to hop into, and people do like it a lot.
Because where I was going with this, I was going to say if Wuthering Waves wins the Game Awards for the best mobile game, do you think we're going to get the HSR treatment and get given one of the new units for free?
1,000,000%.
No, not a new unit. I don't think
that's what I was going to say. Do you think
I think another standard selector probably.
And I'll take that. I absolutely take that.
Yeah, same.
Do you
I still have one of my tickets, the original one.
Do you think Wuwa should do kind of what Honkai did? You know, like Honkai did, like, here's Dr. Ratio, a new limited banner for free. Do you think Wuwa should do that
That's what I was asking. That's what I was asking.
Rinascita? Do you reckon they should do that or not?
Well, they just did it with Zhang Liao. They just did it with Zhang Liao.
And they gave us 5-star selectors.
My prediction is that if they win, or if they have something similar to what HSR did last year, they won't give us one of the free 5 stars. I think the new 5 stars. I think they'll give us a free 4-star and a 10 or something like that. I think they'll give us one of the new 4 stars.
I'll be real. Who cares about 4 stars?
I think if they win, it'll be a 5-star.
They should give us whoever is least liked on the Dripmarketing for free.
That's true, actually.
That's a good win.
So either Rochia or Phoebe.
So Rochia.
And
it's gonna be Rochia.
Probably Rochia.
They'll force you to like the character, basically.
That's gonna give people a reason not to log in. I don't want this shit. Get this out of my mail.
I don't want
it.
No.
What the hell is this?
The last thing we'll talk about Wuwa, then we'll quickly talk about Honkai Star. I don't want to keep you guys for too long. You've all been amazing sports.
2 hours.
You have my PayPal set up, by the way, after this? You got my
I'm getting paid after this,
Ethan, great job shilling today. Your payment's coming in just a few minutes.
Yeah.
Wait, you guys are getting paid?
Program. It is what it is.
5,000 yen here for you, bro. 5,000 yen. It's worth about like $10.
Well,
did you guys know he lives in Japan?
90%.
No. See this? Money. Yeah, money.
We'll keep this to just Wuwa. We've been going for long enough.
Japanese.
Yeah, you live in Japan. I get it. Thanks. Why? I never knew you lived in Japan.
The anime.
Huh?
Sorry, as a Hoyo shill, I would love to touch Star Rail real quick though. Eventually, like I'm down to talk about like quickly.
And
like,
Genshin.
My favorite game. Let's go.
Okay, so
we're not talking about Genshin. Genshin is
so I was gonna mention co-op with Wuwa, but I think we can all agree. Yeah, give us more co-op. That's really it. More events is fun. That's it.
Oh yeah.
That's the most
more
fun.
co-op. It's the only thing I like about the fucking game.
Whoa!
Hold on a minute.
I like about the game,
dude. Who the fuck invited Redner? What the fuck?
No, we need
get this Hoyo
out of here. Elusive Realm's fun. Elusive Realm's fun right now.
He's farming.
Elusive Realm is a good.
Elusive Realm's fun.
Yeah.
Depths of Elusive Realm, I think, is what it's got going for it.
Yeah.
But I do think
if there's one thing I would like.
I want raids. Give me raids. Give me fucking raids.
Yes, raids like dungeons. Like give us like dungeons with co-op with like cool, unique instance content would be sick.
Yeah.
Nah.
It'd be cool.
I think it'd be so good.
It'd be cool.
Who is saying no to raids? Who just said no?
Red
I dare say again.
No.
Red. We cannot be friends. We cannot be friends.
No, listen. It'll be cool. No, I don't disagree. It will be cool. It's just not going to happen.
He said blocked. Been blocked.
Negated.
You've been negated.
Game cancelled for that take.
You've been negated.
Look, we can't help it. Zone Zero is the peak of gacha.
I think Wuthering Waves.
True.
Wuthering Waves had more permanent multiplayer modes. Like the tower defense should have been permanent, in my opinion.
So good.
The tower defense multiplayer should have been permanent. But the boss rush multiplayer all multiplayer modes need to be permanent.
Yeah.
That's like how people complain about Elusive Realm not being permanent.
No, deadass. I think my last closing thought on Wuwa is I think everything they copy from Genshin is not fun, and anything original is really great. I think if they just stop copying Genshin game modes and continue to do these original things,
1,000,000%.
Those co-op events, some of the best stuff I played in a gacha game in terms of how much fun I've had. But like Tower, I don't really like Tower. Elusive Realm is great, so I think if they just stop copying Genshin in those certain aspects,
even the Somnia is pretty good. But even the Somnia is perfectly set up for a multiplayer sort of avenue.
Yeah.
So you could,
this is definitely a test for that in the future.
Wait, quick.
quick hot take. Okay.
No.
The thing I hate the most about WoW.
Fucking hell, here we go.
Get rid of the vigor system. No, does anyone here like the vigor system?
No, it sucks. It sucks. I hate
annoying.
it. It sucks.
That is annoying. Okay.
Fuck off. Fuck off. It sucks.
Vigors, no.
It forces you.
The only decent thing you said. That is the only thing you said.
Time out.
That is the only thing you said this entire
Oh,
conversation.
say you can't say that it's a good thing, please. No, it's not.
We're saying the vigor system is bad?
Yes.
I don't know what
the vigor system exists just so you can use spread your characters around.
No, it forces you to have more characters.
I want to use my camellia for every floor. That's it.
Yeah.
No, I like the vigor system.
It's there to force people to build more characters and to play more styles. I get why it's there. I get it. I hate it.
It's an incentive to build other characters, progress your account, have other things to do in the game, right?
But it sucks.
Because what would let's think about it realistically. If you only needed to build one team and just clear all of the content in the tower across every zone, why would you feel any incentive to do anything else in the game?
Then make it more interesting in terms of having different bosses with different mechanics that require different damage types, or people with different strategies to take them down easier. That would be the more interesting solution.
Well, and doesn't
I get the necessity 100%. I get it so much, but I just hate it. Sorry,
I understand.
Doesn't the vigor system have it's a drawback where it gets lower? It also decreases stats. It's not just you can't use them anymore, right? So in that case,
I don't think it decreases stats.
I had heard that it impacts. I had heard that it impacts damage, and that's why, maybe I was misunderstanding that. I heard there was effects of it there, and I was saying if that's the case, I don't care. Lock them to a tower, and then lock a squad to a tower, and then move on to a different one. I don't really.
I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. I honestly think a lot of people don't understand it. Not trying to be a dumb gacha elitist.
I know why they're doing it. They don't want people to go.
I just hate it.
Yeah,
no,
but
the vigor system.
It's a form of time gating.
I don't even think it's a time gate thing.
No, it is because you have to build other characters.
Because you have to build other characters.
You have to build other teams.
So
it's a roundabout way of time gating.
I don't think it's a wild ask for the developers to ask that you build more characters to do the end game.
No,
to me that's kind of
I get it.
One team.
That makes the most sense.
But
to
I think people feel it more. No,
do it in different ways.
But people feel it more in WoW because it's not one team, it's not two teams, it's three teams sometimes.
No, that's not true though. But that's not true.
And it's four, two teams. Easy.
No, it's not four. So here's the thing, though. I will say this: I dropped the video on it because a lot of people would come to my chat to ask about it. Realistically, there's two strategies. You have your left and right tower, right, and then you have the middle tower. Floor one. Let's say I have my Changli DPS team as one, and then Camilla DPS 2. I'm just gonna make it simple. If you're doing the right and left tower, you could do Camilla first floor and then Camilla fourth floor. Both left and right, and then those two other floors, you could just use half-baked characters that you have laying around. The middle tower, you could use your Changli team there, and then that's it. You realistically, there was a lot of misconception when the game dropped, saying, hey, you need 3 teams of 3.
I'm going to have to watch that video because I think it might help me out.
I got you, because a lot of people...
solo.
It's not even soloing. You could, even if you want to throw Yang Yang or whatever, some bullshit characters, what a lot of people do misconception-wise is all left tower, they'll throw Verena and all 4 of them. Then they'll run out of vigor.
Is it?
Oh, is it?
Shouldn't be.
I'm seeing a lot of 07s.
07?
Am I? It doesn't say.
Yeah, loads of 07s. Yeah, loads. It might have just buffered.
You're just like WoW EOS, bro. What the fuck? This is crazy. We're back.
Ethan, I might have to bring you up on that in the future, bro. I might have to get you to help me, man, because that's insane.
I only charged 3,000 USD, but the point is that.
Oh, steal, easy.
Exactly.
I 5,000 yen here.
Have you got
he's from Japan? Holy shit!
Yeah, because there's one thing really. There's actually one thing that's very amazing about the fuel system, or the fuel system, is the fact that it actively incentivizes you to play your lesser used characters to clear the first 3 sides of either the left or the right zone. Right?
Yeah.
Your level 70 bum-ass Calcharo that you abandoned ever since Zhang Liao released is a viable character.
What if I don't want to play my bum-ass character?
That's the thing. That's I understand the intent, right? I understand what they're trying to do. Yeah. I'm just saying I don't like it.
No, that's
same.
valid.
Scientist, I completely understand. I agree with everything you said. I just don't like it.
Yeah. No, I'm with Ryukyu. I'm so with Ryukyu on that one. It's I get it.
Yeah.
Oh, you agree with me for once? Jesus Christ!
I've heard you guys say you don't like it, but then I think we've gone over both alternatives as well. So I'm kind of like,
prefer.
What would the alternative be that actually doesn't hurt the game?
Tower sucks.
I'd prefer 2 parts to each floor. I'm like, yeah, it's like Genshin
locked
coded,
teams,
Genshin pilled, whatever.
Yeah.
What's
locked teams in 2 parts like Genshin? You think that would be better?
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know how.
Please no.
Different,
Please no.
In Genshin
I just hate
compared
that
to
whole
Zenless.
tower shit,
Zenless
bro.
is just like there's 2 floors, right? There's or 2 parts to each floor, right? That requires basically 2 teams. That's it. And it's like each floor you could swap teams, you could change the different lineups. It's pretty free.
I don't actually mind the Spiral Abyss Genshin, like the method of the 2-team thing. I don't actually think that's.
I won't defend Genshin. I'm just
I'm
saying
not defending it. I don't
Zenless.
think it's terrible. I just don't know. I don't know. Maybe
I will say
Genshin's
this.
problem is not that.
Yeah.
Well, Genshin's problem is it being Genshin.
Yeah.
And you
exactly.
Chad, you can clip it. Everyone's opinion doesn't matter. Mine does, and it is what it is. I'm just gonna keep it a buck. You don't like the vigor system. It is what you know. What I'm saying, like, just objectively, I'm right. It's great. It's great.
This fucking dude right here. This fucking dude.
Get him out. Get him out.
Look, opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one, and Ethan stinks.
Damn right.
True.
It is what it is.
Wash your ass,
throws
dude.
his
Wash
back
your fucking
too,
ass.
bro.
Exactly, bro.
Yeah.
How do you think, how do you
we got
get
Connor
20?
back at
Throw
it.
the stinky ass in our faces every time. Jesus Christ.
Amazing.
Man,
All right. So
Most stiffest twerk I've ever seen in my life. Just saying.
it is a wild twerk. It is an insane twerk. Okay.
Someone drop 5 gifted subs before we end. I'll do it. So drop 5 gifted subs to Cap.
No.
Send us off.
Bro, I'll pull out my card right now. Don't play. I'll do it.
I'll pay you not to do it.
This is a PayPal trusted advice.
Yeah. All right. So we'll wrap up the last half an hour with Honkai Star Rail. I know Ryuku, it's your favorite. It's your favorite game of all time. This is really your moment to shine. I'm honestly, by the way, Ryuku, you need to play 2.6 on stream. You have to.
No, I don't.
No,
I
you
really
have
don't. For my
to.
own sanity,
No,
I
you
do
have
not.
to.
I cannot.
Please.
I cannot.
Bro, you need to.
Oh
Such
Stop.
a good quest.
It's so good.
It's so good.
Everyone will watch you play 2.6. I promise you, it will be the
literally all the
best.
problems you have.
Oh my god.
All the problems you have are fixed in 2.6.
Yeah, 2.6
fucking
is
liar.
the best
You are
patch
lying.
I've ever played in my life. It's really good.
You are lying.
No,
Banana?
it's really good.
Bro.
No, it's really good.
No, there's no such thing as bananas.
No,
No, really.
I swear.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for going back to wuwa just one last time.
Oh
but
my
there's
god!
actually one-
No, we're done with wuwa. No, we're done with wuwa. No, end. Say donuts. It's done. It's done. We're done. I'm saying it now. We're done with wuwa.
It's a short one, and
No,
it's actually
no,
really
muted.
important.
Muted. Mute.
Oh my god.
Negated.
Next time.
Negated.
Guys, Tintos can speak for hours about Wuthering Waves. We've had conversations for literally hours, longer than this stream right now, and it's been great. I love the talks, but we cannot stop, and it's a good thing, but also a bad thing.
All right. Okay.
Jesus Christ.
So let's move on. Right. Who left? Someone leave. Okay. Oh no.
No.
Rip cam. So we about Honkai Star Rail real quick. All right. How many of you have played 2.6?
I stopped after 2.4. I think that was the goodbye.
I stopped at 2.3.
Yes, I have played up to date.
You played up to date. Connor, what do you think of 2.6?
2.3.
It's ass.
Yep. It's just category.
Look, I stand by this. This is a hot take. I think the best story chapter so far has been Belobog, the best arc. I think Belobog is tight. It's well written from the beginning to the end, and I think it's just exactly what an arc should look like. And I think it's been just like a slow decline since then. I think Penacony tried to go super high concept and just couldn't stick the landing. And then this just feels like some of the worst filler ever. That I'm like, they have 98% of filler bullshit that I'm like, this is stupid, and then 2% of oh, that's kind of cool, and then immediately they yank it back again, and I'm like,
yep,
all right, sick guys. I love this. I love this story chapter.
I brought the numbers to it as well. Do you see the amount on comparison?
Oh.
I dropped my video. Don't know if you've seen it. Kind of, but I was like, I knew for a fact. I knew for a fact that if I didn't bring numbers like that, it would have just been people, oh, it's just not for you. I'm like, no, this is objectifiable truth. The amount that they give, in comparison, ratio-wise, no, it is just not enough at all fuck that game. I swear to God. And you guys saying play 2.6? I can't.
Please.
I can't.
No,
I want
you
to
need
make that video. I want to
can.
make that video and just be done with Honkai Star Rail. I don't want to be the guy. I don't want to be the guy known as, oh, he's just a Honkai Star Rail. I'm like, yeah, I don't, and that's why I don't play it. I'm done. I don't want
for
to
the views.
Bro is against
for
the farm. Bro is against the farm. How can you be a content creator and not want to farm the shit out of this?
Right.
No, I'm a terrible content creator. I make videos on things I like. I don't want to play things I don't like. It's the same thing.
That's the problem.
Right? Yeah.
Let's start making
you
things
can't
about things
like
we
your
hate
fucking
about.
job, bro.
Yeah, what
you
the
can't
fuck is
like
that?
it.
No,
I will say that I've had a lot of people in the comments saying they love the rent and they want more of it and they want videos like that for Wuthering Waves and other games. So if I could do that with other games as well, and if I please I don't want to. if I did somehow want to kill myself, I will play through 2.3 and then I can make another run video.
Actually, genuinely be your
10k subs, he'll play 2.6.
10k subs.
Yeah.
2K,
Okay. If I get a shit ton of subs in that, fine. I've got a monetary incentive to do that. But like, oh my God, I
agree with you, but I think it's not
monetary incentive to kill himself. You guys are here first. Let's go.
Do it. Yo, for content. I just think Hoyoverse has a problem with stories in general.
Yeah,
I mean, I can't speak on ZZZ. I don't know a lot about
writing.
ZZZ, but like, no, the way they tell stories of presenting something that's kind of cool. 30 minutes or 40 minutes of fluff, you're like, why the fuck am I reacting to this? Or am I watching this? Then they bring it up for 1 millisecond an hour in, so you feel stupid for like not liking it, and then there's no payoff.
Bullshit.
It's the worst thing ever. It's
I hate
horrible.
it. It's so
like
bad.
this, right? It's like shit up, and that's it.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
bad. It's
For the
bad.
rest of the
literally
fucking
3% of decent shit.
Sorry, did anybody else do the latest story chapter? Like, do the actual?
No.
Sorry.
No.
Okay.
No.
I have.
No.
Then I'll say this for
no,
chat.
no.
This is the peak reason. It's so clearly spelled out in this latest story chapter. So small spoilers, I guess, if you're here for this. There's a character that's introduced, Dr. Rekka. He's like kind of like a third-party character.
Spoilers!
And he actually is like kind of interesting. Where I'm like, oh, okay, like I want to see
Agreed.
like how this character is going to fit into the story. And there's definitely some intrigue that happens. It's like really fluff. It kind of sucks. But then there's this like animated cinematic that they drop in there that all of a sudden you're like, whoa, Dr. Rekka, maybe this is gonna be something cool. And they're setting him up to be kind of like a villain. And like there's this big reveal. And then literally 2 seconds later, they basically renege on the whole thing. And you're like, why did we do this? Why are we doing this to these characters?
That's how I felt about Penacony.
It's so dumb. It's so dumb.
I think Penacony, it itself started off low-key 2.0. I was like, this is good. This isn't like cinema, but this is
also
great.
5 gifted. Let's go.
Yeah, I got it to work now. It is what it is. So,
No.
All right, go on.
I'm leaving. I'm fucking leaving.
No, but so I think
fuck this.
It's better than Star Rail story. I don't know what you're complaining about.
True. I'd rather watch you twerking than play Honkai Star Rail.
Please go ahead.
2.0 sucked.
Any day.
And then, we gotta wait. We're gonna wait for the close off. You know, we gotta close out. You gotta close out on the best thing, bro. You know what I'm saying? No, 2.0 started off good, and then like 2.1 I thought was really, really good. Like with the Venturine, I was like, okay.
I'm sorry. 2.1, I disagree heavily. 2.1 was the worst part about Penacony.
2.2 was the worst.
No. 2.2 was the best.
Wait.
I disagree heavy.
No.
I disagree heavy. No.
Guys.
You have got to be trolling right now. I swear to
I need to
fucking
be
God, dude.
reminded of what the patches were.
Guys,
because I forgot.
Wait, allow me to speak.
Who here, just say me, who here agrees that 2.2 was good?
It was fine. 2.2 was fine. 2.2 was fine.
That was the last
I
one,
need
right?
a refresher too, though. On like which
Okay,
specifically was.
2.2, we actually fight Sunday.
So 2.0 was the beginning. 2.1 was the Venturine, and 2.2 was the closure, right? And so what happened was, thank you. What happened was, in the beginning, it was a little fluff, but it was what it was. It is what it is. They ended off with a really nice cliffhanger, right? We're gonna spoil shit. Firefly gets whatever. You're like, oh my god, holy shit, whatever. You get into the second one. There's a bunch of cliffhangers. Bro, I got very emotional. I got very emotional with Venturine. I got emotional with Gallagher and the Sunday shit. Immediately an hour into 2.3, they killed off all of the fucking suspense, and the fucking thing just sucked. It was absolute dog shit.
2.0 I think was a decent introduction.
No. Fuck that shit. No.
It took.
Wait, 2.0
No,
was good.
I think 2.0.
I didn't have much of a problem with 2.0. It was a lot. It was a lot of. It was a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a lot of fluff.
Sorry, 2.0 had one good scene.
Yeah, it was a lot of fluff. I do like the introduction. Firefly as a character is a good character. I liked our interactions with Firefly. I thought it was fine. I thought it took too long to get there, and especially the interesting bit. It started off pretty strong because we meet Acheron like in the space between the actual the Polakara and like Penacony itself. That it set it up pretty interesting, and it did get you engaged, but you find out very quickly that this is going to take a while for it to ramp up. But I don't think it was that offensive. Like, yes, there wasn't a lot of fighting, which I know Ryuko, you pointed out in your video. There wasn't a lot of fighting, there's a lot of yapping, but I think that's almost kind of necessary in the 2.0 because it is setting up the grand. They're trying to build a bigger story, I think, in 2.0 than what they did in like Lofu or they did in Bellowbug, right? So you need to have more time setting that up. To the extent that they did it in, no, absolutely not. It was far too long, but I think like some fluff was necessary for it. To me, 2.1 was the most outrageous offense I have gone through. I almost fell asleep twice during 2.1. Aventurine, I love as a character, but oh my god, it got so much like him yapping all the time. I didn't care. I really didn't care. And I like Aventurine as a character.
2.0 was one of those
guy with testicles on his chest.
Yep.
So 2.1 was so much yap at the beginning. The ending is what I went crazy at the end. Like the climax between Acheron and Aventurine, just the square off and the standoff, I loved. But the first part and the middle part, I was like, okay, the first part had me intrigued. Now I'm just bored. I'm getting fucking bored and sick of this shit now. The ending, I was like, this is fucking cool. But I still don't think it was all that yap was worth it. I don't think all of that was quite worth it.
Not worth it.
The ending fight with Acheron and Aventurine was really cool. Good. Really, it's the only good bit about 2.1. But then they have a conversation. Acheron and Aventurine have a conversation when he's like going to the other side, whatever. Those 10 hours. And again, it's the whole thing of like complete jargon. They talk in metaphors to each other for like half an hour. And I remember being like, I had a moment where I paused my stream and I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, it was ridiculous of what they were saying to each other. Really kind of meant nothing, but it felt like it was supposed to be really important to like the whole lore of what's going on in Penacony, but they say it in such a way that makes it just like hard to digest. It's way too cryptic, bro. And it's like, oh my god, it's trying to be so much more smarter than it actually is, and it pissed me off. That's what I really
2.2 I did not like the majority of 2.2 other than the ending of 2.2 where we actually fight Sunday. The majority of 2.2 I was just sitting and I was just like
at least we actually got story about Penacony itself and the actual plot itself.
I don't
2.1 wasn't. 2.1 wasn't really much that apart from the end.
No.
2.2 was.
I don't agree.
2.2 was literally killed all the suspense of everything prior and made everything feel completely fucking useless. And it was a waste of time. Spark was a waste of time. What happened?
What was the point of Sparkle in that entire thing? Why was she there?
She was just there. She was just there.
She was just there. Then after that, all of the cliffhangers they immediately killed. It felt like a fucking waste of time. You had what's his face with the fucking red hair. I don't remember his name. This dickhead randomly comes out of nowhere. Like, what the fuck are you here for? It just felt like a massive waste of time. It fucking sucked. And I hate the argument that you don't understand Penacony. No, I understand. I understand it was fucking a sack of bullshit.
That's I understood
like, it was just fucking bad.
I didn't skip anything. I let them play out. I wasn't just read then press. I didn't read and press. I let them fucking read the lines. I went through everything. I listened to everything, and it was a complete and utter waste of fucking time.
Do you know? We say Sparkle was useless. I also think Boot Hill was kind of fucking useless. He was there to serve one purpose.
I hated
He was there to serve one purpose. It's like, I'll bring whatever the fucking Galactic Rangers, whatever you want to call them. That was it. That was the only thing he served a purpose for, and he's hot. That's really all it is. He did fuck all. He did fuck all apart. That's the only thing he was there for.
It's terrible. The cliffhanger with Black Swan and Boot Hill coming to Penacony, going after Acheron, was so cool because Boot Hill was like, nah, she's a fraud. I'm coming to fucking basically I'm going to kill her.
He's a Karen.
Yeah.
He's a fucking Karen. What the fuck? Bro, the dude has like fucking 13 Glocks on him and he's over here complaining about some bullshit in his drink. Like, get the fuck out of here, bro. Like, what are you talking about? Oh my god, I hated that fucking story. I think it was the worst thing ever. And I think I will say this with Genshin, excuse me, just Hoyo. Again, I can't talk about ZZZ. I think ZZZ's cool or whatever, but like the way they tell the stories, how it's 5 hours of yapping, maybe one puzzle, 3 hours, and a final boss. I will say, going back to WoW for a second, the way they integrate, how there's cutscenes, there's different animations when people are. It's not just talking and saying still or you do a bunch of things in the middle. Like that would maybe make Honkai Star Rail feel less insufferable. But I truthfully am not that excited for 3.0 in the way that everyone else is. I think all the characters look crazy, but imagine the yap we're gonna have to hear about the lore about Greek mythology.
Oh, it's good, bro. I really hope they live.
They look cool.
One thing to point out why. Hold on, I've got a bit of copium/hopium here, where I'm hoping things can change up at least in the next arc. They have a different lead writer for each of the story arcs. Okay, shut the fuck up for like a sec. They have a different lead writer for each one, and actually one of the problems with Penacony and why there was a lot of like hype for it is the lead writer for Penacony was also the lead writer of I think like it was like chapter 7 or something of like Honkai Impact 3rd, which is like it's the huge chapter. It's got the cinematic where everybody cries. It's the final lesson. It's fantastic. So going into it, people were expecting it to be big. People were expecting a meaningful character depth. People were expecting something, some gravitas to the story. But then it turned into this like weird philosophical circle jerk that nobody ended up caring about anything that was talked about, and they bailed on all of it. So I'm hoping that with the new, like my understanding is it is a different writer coming in for the next batch. I might be wrong on that. That I'm hoping that there can be like a bit of a change there, and that like it can go in the right direction, because like I liked, like I said, Belobog, and if we can like recapture some of that kind of like experience in the story, cut more of the fluff, like I'll be happy with it. But we'll see where it goes.
I think a writer could definitely mitigate the problems, but it's mainly I don't know if the writer and director are different. It's also very heavily based on like the director as well, like how the director like presents the story as well. So even if they make write a better story, whatever, and they cut some things down, if they don't present it correctly, it'll all be for naught, in my opinion. Anyway.
Well, they're not changing the way it presented though. Like that's copium.
Oh, then they're still fucked. Sorry.
I don't know. He's muted himself. He's not serving muted.
Oh, I was gonna say I saw his model move, and I wasn't sure if he was trying to talk.
He might be eating. He might be eating.
So,
but really quick
it's not about wuwa, so
I just had a very quick question about Honkai Star Rail, right? Penacony is the lead writer that you're talking about. Is it Xiaoji?
I don't remember his name off the top of my head.
No,
I don't remember.
Okay, I don't know. My chat's been turning me on, or like telling me about.
You're turning me on. You can turn me on.
Turn me on to the fact. Turn me on to the fact that Honkai Impact 3rd.
Wow.
Honkai Impact 3rd and Penacony was written by Xiaoji, and it's just like. I think it's very characteristic because they do try to like dive deep in again with psychological mumbo jumbo, right? And a lot of cryptic talk. I think it's trash.
They gotta get Fontaine's writers in there. That's what they need to do. They gotta get Genshin writers.
He doesn't write Genshin. He doesn't write Genshin. From what I understand.
To be fair with the whole Greek stuff as well, I feel like that could turn into a whole yapathon too.
That's what,
it's
so many like terminology and stuff.
Hear me now, quote me later. It will turn to a massive fucking yapathon.
I genuinely believe it's not just the yapathon though. There's a lot of text, but also the lines are delivered at 0.25 speed. They all talk so slowly and like this. And like it has to be on purpose. Like there's gotta be someone at Hoyo that's like,
they're dragging it out.
Have to like audience retention for like playing the game or something. Like it has to be like a stat they calculate or do or something.
So Cap, you're saying is that you don't like it when people talk like this at all.
It's not I don't like.
You didn't throw enough mumbo jumbo in there.
I cannot comprehend the words you are saying on the sounds that are coming out of your mouth. I cannot fathom them, Ryugu. So
you need to whip out the thesaurus.
Exactly.
That's the fucking words in there.
Exactly, bro.
They Plymond it. I think that's HSR's version of a Plymond. They don't have someone to repeat what's been said.
No, it's more
so
7.
They have to slow it down.
It's more 7. She exists.
We need more Paimon in our life. Yeah.
I agree. It twice. You know?
Yeah. I just think Hoyoverse Story is a cook, man. Paimon is the best. I think Hoyoverse Story is just cooked.
We all agree that a 3.0 could. Go on, Medu. Sorry.
Resbus says ZZZ.
I think I like Hoyoverse stories in general because at least for I do like a lot of Genshin writing from what I've played. I haven't played all of it. From what I've played, and Zenless Zone Zero I like a lot. So it's just like Honkai Star Rail, or rather just Penacony. And Honkai Impact Third, from what I remember, just being not very good.
Well, I'll give them credit on ZZ. I think they present ZZ in the best way, though. They have cinematics, they have the cartoon panels, they have ways to present the story better. I don't know much about the story itself. Again, I'm not gonna lie to you. Penacony has made me hate gacha stories. It really has, because I think in total, all of the time, at least it took me to play, was probably about 17 to 18 hours, possibly more.
It does.
No,
it does take that long. Like all.
Yeah.
Penacony for 2.0, 2.1, 2.2, I added at the time, it comes up to about 18 to 19 hours.
That's a full game. That's a full game.
If you don't keep fucking clicking or pressing space like go, it will take you around 18 to 20 hours. And that's like just playing it at normal. If you're taking it even more leisurely, then it'll take even longer, of course. But no, fuck that. No, sorry. I can't. I honestly cannot.
I think the only reason why Penacony was like palatable to so many people at the time was probably the fact that it was one of the only gacha games that they were actually playing at that point, and it requires
It's kind of
massive time commitment on the player's end just to get through it. And at the end of the day, right, now that there are like other options, other outlets for your time, I think I honestly don't even think the writing quality of of HSR even got worse in like the filler patches that followed afterwards. I think it's just the fact that there are other things to do. Natlan released if you like Hoyo stuff, ZZZ released if you like other Hoyo stuff, and then wuwa's there too, right? And everyone's just like, honestly, we don't have time for this bullshit writing and this bullshit story progression anymore. There are so many other games to play that are like actually like I'm getting an actual reward and entertainment, not reading these fucking paragraphs for like hours on end. Like if you're like trying to do something in your leisure time, right, which is typically what a game is for, if you're trying to play a game, you're not trying to like read an essay, right? Otherwise you'd be playing visual novels instead of an action game or a strategy game, right? You'd be watching visual novels. And so the fact that you're basically being forced to do that instead of the actual thing that you came to the game for, right? And now people are seeing all these other games where you can just skip and then get to the gameplay. And skip and get to the gameplay, or you just continue, or you play Genshin Impact, right? And you get the same exact experience with HSR, where you have to sit through all this goddamn shit to get to the gameplay. And I think it's just people are tired of it. Like they overplayed their hand with Penacony, and they just didn't adjust at all for the future filler patches. And now people are just like, all right, yeah, this is actually trash, and we're not going to stand for it anymore. We want to just play games.
Cap, it's going back to what we said at the beginning of this thing, where a lot of people say, "What do you expect from a gacha game? This is just the level of gacha game." Sorry, I hate that argument so much. It just does me absolutely nothing. Gacha is a monetary system. Gacha has absolutely zero to do with the story, at all. And even if it was a case of it not being the greatest story, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it has. It doesn't matter if it's the worst story or maybe not the most intellectually engaging story. What matters in a game is if it's fun. Like say for thing with like comedy movies, for example, like say Dumb and Dumber, shit story, great movie, great comedy. It does its job well. If I'm playing a game, I want it to be fun first and foremost. I don't want this shit. If you want me to like read a philosophical novel, I would read a physical book. I would read a book. I don't come to this game to do that. That's not what I come to this game to do. I want to come to this game and enjoy my time. I did not enjoy. I won't say anything. There were some enjoyable parts in Penacony. I'm going to be completely fair and honest, but they were scarce. They were scarce.
It's those tiny peaks.
And it was like a minute each.
I think I do think that's the reason why. I do think that's the reason why WoW's story is easy to digest, because there's not much yap and there's not much philosophical things, and even the lore stuff that there is, like the lore that's in WoW, they make it easy. Like I said, WoW. Sorry, not WoW. WoW. They make it easy.
Yo, who?
Overclocking.
One woo.
No,
don't let them bully you.
No, I'm used to it.
Show off your guns. Come on, be
like, we have them all the time.
I'm not flexing. No.
Continue.
Get oiled up. When are we gonna get one of the things oiled up?
Continue on, little Hufflepuff.
I think the reason why why people prefer the Wuthering Waves story is because the way they've presented it is easier for you to digest the little lore bits and little tidbits that they're trying to show you and tell you, and it's a lot more show not tell, where with like the Hoyoverse games like Genshin and HSR, they're trying to tell you all of this lore when realistically you can just show us. Like, look at the cutscene we got for 3.0, right? We've probably learned a good amount of what the hell is probably going to happen in 3.0, right? They could have done that in Penacony or in similar good 2 to 3 minute cutscene explaining what's going on. And it would have made a lot. It would have been a lot better.
It's like animated, like the fucking wuwa black sheep thing.
Yeah,
like that. Yeah. That's fine.
Just some. I don't want just a static image for 15 minutes. A static image for 15 minutes, and also every time someone's talking,
bad takes.
Shut the dude up.
Dude, I'm pretty sure you're like your agent in like your government that's monitoring what you're doing is just like he's having a good time right now.
He does not like.
He like presses the button like.
Wait a second. I'm gonna
take him down.
Oh, yeah, no, you go.
I was gonna say, like, with what Atoma said is correct. Like, look what they did with the black lamb, right?
Yeah. The black clam.
Okay.
Black lamb.
The black lamb.
Okay.
Yeah, like with that story, like the way they sort of like. With the way they told it in that sort of animated format, they could have done something similar in a similar style with the HSR and story in Penacony, where you could have Acheron or Boot Hill or Sunday or someone.
I prefer like Zealous' way of doing it. I'll be real with the comic.
Even like the comic book panel, the comic book panel in Zenless, the way they portray certain lore and story aspects in the comic book panel is really good.
Like, and it looks good.
Yeah, like
I think Zenless Zone Zero, in terms of how a story is told, at least across like Wuthering Waves, Hoyoverse games, is peak. Like the combination of the 3 different mediums of like the light novel, animated light novel style, the comic book style, and animated cinematics, it clears. It absolutely clears.
It's very good.
I want to play devil's advocate for a moment because I don't disagree, because I think most of Hoyo and even sometimes wuwa storytelling is still kind of booty cheeks. Not even the story itself, but the way they portray the story, but also people really love that shit though. Like, some people don't play wuwa. Actually, not wuwa. Like, I know a lot of the streamers in Genshin play the game for the story, and to sit there for 20 hours and listen and to read the lore books.
It's an audiobook.
It's literally an audiobook. Or like, look at Honkai Impact 3. Honkai Impact 3 is a visual novel with 20 minutes of gameplay in between chapters. Maybe sometimes you get an hour if you're lucky. And so I think now this is a deeper conversation that we're not going to get into now because we've been here for forever. But it's for a different topic. Is gacha games for you? Or for any of us, in the sense of like, how do you want to balance it, like the gameplay loop or the story, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that it's a little bit of a more nuanced answer, But I do think the way they present the stories is trash, but a lot of people love that. Like Genshin, 60 million people play. I think probably 55 million people love it.
I think you raised a really interesting point, Ethan, right? Like, you're talking about how these people might, like, potentially be loving the way that the story is being told. And I have no doubt that there are people out there that do somehow like it. But there's also, like, that point that I was making before, right? There weren't any other alternatives, right? The whole sunk cost fallacy, right? You spent 3 or 4 years in Genshin Impact.
There's nothing else.
Great time in Teviot, right? Like, you're going ahead, you're listening to this NPC talk about shit you don't care about for the 7,000th time, right? And at that point, it's like some people might just be used to it, right? Some people might have forced themselves to find enjoyment out of it. But at the end of the day, I think with all of these other options available, all these other different modes of storytelling, even like we've all just been, spending time, praising ZZZ a little bit, right? Still under the Hoyo umbrella, right? And they're providing, in a way, right? A way to cannibalize their audience with a story that doesn't suck balls. And from the way that I view it, right, is we haven't even talked about kind of like, I think one of the biggest issues with HSR. And I think it's the fact that they've extended this kind of long storytelling into their events too, right? And like we're like you talked about whether or not somebody enjoys a gacha game, right? Or why they're playing a game and why it's specifically gacha, right? It's because these gacha games are supposed to be low time commitment, right? They're supposed to be something that you can just get in, get out fast, get your rewards, play every once in a while, right? The reason why I quit Honkai Star Rail was because I logged in, right, when knowing that there was like, this really good event. I think there was like a light cone weapon too, right? Stuff you really don't want to miss, right? Like, if you don't get that, your account's bricked, bro, right? I logged in on a Sunday before the event expired. That shit took my entire fucking Sunday to do because I was spent in dialogue the entire time for an event. Right?
Yep.
And so I'm just sitting here. I'm just like, wow, I had to play this game for 7 to 8 hours. Like this gacha game for 7 to 8 hours just to get the bare minimum event rewards. And like to me, that's like the antithesis of a gacha game. Like that's everything a gacha game isn't supposed to be.
Your gripe here though is on a live service model. Like something that Ryuku said that like is like there's some truth to what he said of like gacha is not a genre of game, it's a monetization model. It's like yes, but the thing is gacha is also a live service model. Everything is always set up to be digested in bite-sized parts. So I also don't think it's that crazy that if all of a sudden you come in at the end of a 25-day event that you now need to do 25 days worth of catching up on the event to try and get the rewards. It's like
Depths of Elusive Realm. Didn't he come
Gacha's issue was that he didn't know the time difference between the deadlines. That was his issue. No. It was like unrelated to the length of the activity.
The thing is, also, I'm not justifying the app, by the way. Just to be clear, I'm not justifying the app. I'm just clarifying that.
About live the live update the
live service.
Live service. Sorry, my mind. It's early. I've been up. I've had like 3 hours sleep.
He lives in Japan, boys.
Yeah.
Did you guys know? He lives in Japan.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
MTash here. Ryuku lives in Japan.
So the thing is, though, there are other live service games as well, which have a lot more. Did she just crash? Like literally crash?
No, it's alright. I dropped something. It's fine. Sorry.
Like, and there are other like live service games which don't do that. Like say Warframe, one of the biggest live service games out there as well. Destiny 2, they're all live service games, but they have at least some respect for the players' time.
Destiny's different. I'm sorry, brother. That's a no. Destiny is dog
Warframe,
shit.
yes. Destiny, no.
The time hard.
Warframe for sure.
But Warframe's also an MMO. Like it's also a completely different like style game there.
I'm saying that it being live service is not indicative of how it should be, like the way it tells the story. I think the story and the monetization model and it being live service are not are 3 completely separate things entirely. And my main gripe with Honkai Star Rail and also to not some degree, to a high degree, Genshin as well, is that they just do not respect players' time at all. Like as you said earlier,
either.
Yeah, I dropped that after the first couple of days. I was literally falling asleep on launch day.
I am still baffled that their Hollow Zero with TVs, you needed to do 5 of them a week for the full rewards. I am baffled that somebody was expected to actually do that every single week from 1.0 to 1.1. That was the biggest joke I've ever seen and a reason why I quit. And I know a ton of other people quit the game.
Then they patched it out, and it's not even an issue anymore. So
we're arguing against it, brother.
I mean, that's fair. I didn't like 5 Hollow Zero either. Like,
let me just ask this right, because we haven't actually we've been speaking about HSR. We spoke about Wuthering Waves 2.0. What does everyone think of the 3.0 characters?
They're good.
Care.
I like them. I like the dude, Medei, whatever he's called. That's it. They look cool.
Didn't look, don't care.
Yeah.
You mean
don't care.
Okay.
Just play the Honkai Impact 3 Flame Chasers arc and you have the entire roster for 3.0.
All right.
Okay.
All right. I
He's
think
not wrong.
We'll start to wrap it up here. One last question, really quick fire, because it's been 3 hours. It's been 3 hours of hot takes, cool takes.
It should have been 2 hours as well.
Whatever. Yeah. I said between 2 and 3. I said between 2 and 3.
This podcast is Honkai Star Rail storytelling.
No. Last question. What is the gacha game you are most looking forward to going forward into 2025? Very quickly. Very quickly. Go, Athoma, go.
Tribe 9.
Okay, interesting. Okay, Amethyst.
Black Beacon.
Black Beacon, of course. You're a Black Beacon boy. Mine. What is mine? I think Never Sevenus is definitely mine because car racing. Connor.
If they can deliver, Project Mugen.
Ooh. Yes, nice. Ethan.
Not bad.
Project Mugen, yeah.
Kaza.
As you're familiar, the devs cook with that.
Ooh, I am excited for that one. Ryuku.
I want to choose something different. I want to say Fate Trigger.
Oh, yes.
That's going to be a damn good game.
Is it a gacha?
I think it is gacha.
It's like a Warframe inspired gacha, yeah.
Okay, I thought it was just a battle royale.
PUBG mixed. PUBG mixed with Valorant.
That's the battle royale.
That's not
right?
a gacha.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, it is gacha, isn't it?
No, it's
absolutely
not.
They have. I'm pretty sure they have gacha
like skins.
aspects.
It's not the same.
No,
so it's
no.
Shinobi.
Pick
It's
it
like
right.
Shinobi.
I'll pick a bad game.
Shinobi.
Pick a bad game.
Okay, I'm going to say because I played it and I really enjoyed it. I'm going to say Never's Everness.
Never's okay.
Amethyst is thinking of Duet Night Abyss.
That's it. That's it. That's the one.
Red New.
NTR, but like Project Mugen
NTR
comes.
NTR?
The NTR, yeah.
My favorite game.
NTR is the one I'm looking forward to.
I say Donuts.
I love NTR.
I want group racing.
I will group racing too, bro.
I love NTR.
I love group
NTR.
NTR. It's great.
Group NTR is the best.
I will suffer through NTR if we can all do some Need for Speed drag racing. Okay.
Drag my nuts all over your face. Sorry. Say Totus.
Please? Is that a promise?
I got. All right, last one, buddy. What's your favorite? Well, what you most looking forward to?
I'm gonna have to go with Hello Kitty Island Adventures 2. I heard that's
Nice.
coming out.
Oh my god.
You know, after its
Nice.
smashing
No.
success in 2020,
I've
it almost beat
already
Genshin
pre-registered.
Impact for Mobile Game of the Year, by the way.
What did you just say?
Or was that Honkai Star Rail? It was one of those two. But I think those devs really, the fact that they were able to make it to the Game Awards is just indicative of the type of quality that they're putting in their product, right?
We know
And
it's
I think
good.
I might have to play.
And having
probably
a
is
really
even
just says a lot, you know.
I really think the sequel is going to be what everybody's looking for.
Make or break. It makes or break gacha.
Yeah.
That's
It's
a
going
make
to be
or
like
break
the
gacha
Overwatch
game.
2 of
Yeah.
gacha, you know.
Yeah.
Gamers.
So
This one
basically,
changes
Saint's
everything.
answer. Basically, Saint's answer is he already
new
has
Genshin
his
killer,
dream
guys, is
gacha
here.
game.
New
Yeah.
Genshin.
Also-
he's not looking forward to anything else. It's just Wuthering Waves right
Yeah.
there.
Can I put a special point? Infinity Nikki as well. That's going to be really interesting. Just
That's
putting
soon,
it there.
right?
I
Yeah.
cannot care
Very
less.
soon.
I don't care.
A lot of
I
men
really
love it. A
don't
lot of
care.
men are really hyped. for
I
Infinity Nikki.
understand.
I'm sorry.
They're fucking wrong.
No,
I don't get it.
it's
I
cute.
don't
really
It's
don't
cute.
get it.
It's like
They're
people would be
wrong.
saying it's the My Little
No.
Pony of gacha games for men.
I don't give a shit
fun.
about that game. I can't lie.
I just do not care. Not the
No,
slightest.
It'd be
I'm not
so
taking
weird.
this slander.
It's so weird.
Enter Infinite Nikki. Oh, then I'm in.
Yeah,
Enter
yeah,
Infinite
we
Nikki.
could.
Then I'm in. Let's go.
Let's have, like,
go.
collaboration.
Yeah.
I think
I'm
we can.
interested in that game. I can't lie.
Right, it seems fun.
It
Right,
looks
I think
fun.
we can wrap this up by saying gacha is not dead. People who say that could fuck off. It's more exciting than ever right now. We got a lot of stuff coming up next year. I think we all agree with that, right? Do we all agree?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
know
I
that.
don't think it's
Genshin's also on top.
Yeah,
That's a
get
whole other
on
can
top.
of worms that would have been fun to talk
Oh
about.
yeah. No, Honkai Star for sure.
We would be here for 5 hours. We'd be here for. We have so much more we could say, but we'd be here for far too long.
Oh, actually, I'd like to revise my answer to Teamfight Tactics. They've been, all that RNG and the eggs. I think that's the real gacha game. of 2025.
Skylanders.
CS:GO.
KFC's fun.
That's a true one. All right. I just want to give a big thank you to everybody who's turned up today. We've got some great yapping. I really appreciate everyone who's here. Everyone here is so lovely. I would die for all of these people here right now. I'm just gonna say that. I think they're all.
Oh my god.
We love you,
amazing.
Kat. We love you.
I thank
Oh my
you so
God.
much. Ethan, you have to twerk for us, by the way. That's still a thing. So
Oh,
we
yeah,
gotta,
why
we gotta
not?
round
Why
out.
not?
We gotta round out with a twerk.
Oh
So
my
I appreciate.
God.
Go and
Hey,
follow everybody.
yes.
It's in the fucking pin. Go follow everyone.
He's gonna demonetize the
my
video.
Go sub to everybody.
No,
give us some jingle, bro.
no,
give us some
no.
twerk. Yeah, yeah. Let's fucking go.
It wasn't long
That
enough.
was the hottest thing I've seen all
Hey,
year.
you gotta
I'm gonna
relax,
say-
man. You
I'm
always
gonna
have
end
to
it all.
figure out your
Yeah,
bag
yeah,
there for a
yeah,
second.
I'm gonna fucking end all this shit.
Wait, I will say one this.
Yeah.
I will say one this. Before, obviously, Ryuko lives in Japan, but if all games don't want to be EOS, they can just put an emo to me twerking. That's all I'm going to say. Let me say thank you, Kat, for hosting. This was a great time.
Thank you,
And they call
everybody.
shockwaves too.
Avoid? I think accelerate.
Thanks, Kat.
Yo,
Thank you, right? I
wait,
appreciate
wait,
y'all.
wait,
I'll
wait.
see you all
Since
another
we're
time,
past the
right? I
Wait,
appreciate it. I'll see you all later.
How is this
Alright, yo.
possible?
Bye bye.
All right, bye everyone.
GG's, y'all.
Bye.
Have a great night.
Bye.